Chapter 564. Inner World. Monarch Mo Shui was currently sitting in front of a bamboo house drinking warm tea, the tea mist rising slightly. Looking at the ripples on the vast lake in front of him, Monarch Mo Shui's mood was at ease. The bamboo house was built by him, personally selecting the bamboos one by one and chopping them. The tea leaves were also the leaves of a plant that he had been searching for a long time in the vast inner world. After his experiments, the taste was not bad. As for whether there was poison, to a stage 4 world deity, Monarch Mo Shui obviously did not care. What he cared about was the taste of the tea leaves. Such days, Monarch Mo Shui enjoyed it very much. In fact, the nearer he got to death, Monarch Mo Shui instead became more calm. Father-in-law. Beside him condensed the translucent face of Donghua Shuiying. Snow Eagle. Monarch Mo Shui looked at his son-in-law. What? Did the test run into trouble again? The translucent face had a trace of distress, nodding. Yes. Now is the final test. I would like to ask father-in-law to give me a pointer or two. Speak. Monarch Mo Shui asked. My true deity heart has been sealed, and now external help is forbidden. I have to break through the seal myself. The huge face sighed helplessly. I've never heard of it. Relying on willpower to break through the seal. You haven't heard of it. It's because your knowledge is still lacking. Monarch Mo Shui said. Donghua Shuiying was stunned. Can it be done? Yes. Monarch Mo Shui said. You should know the power of willpower. The huge face nodded. When he became a transcendent, one look, his willpower could form a substantial pressure, enough to make a mortal's soul suffer an impact, collapse, or even faint. And becoming a god, the god's willpower was even stronger. The pure willpower of a god. To a half-god it was fine, but to a mortal it was a nightmare. One look and they would die. Once one became a world deity, the willpower of a world deity was even more terrifying to a transcendent. It was like a boundless hell had descended. As for powerful existences, their willpower pressure did not need to talk about the impact on the soul. Even in the real world, the willpower pressure of a powerful existence was enough to completely disintegrate a 10,000-li area of land. Then you should also know the method to raise willpower? Monarch Mo Shui said. I only know of 2 methods. The first is to increase one's realm. The higher one's realm, the stronger their true deity heart. The will released by the true deity heart is naturally stronger. Donghua Shuiying said. It was like comparing a 100 kilograms mortal to a 200 kilograms mortal. In terms of strength, the heavier one would naturally have a greater advantage. It was the same for cultivators. Those with higher realms would have more profound laws of heaven and earth contained within their true deity hearts. Their true deity hearts would be stronger, and their wills would naturally be different. The willpower of a mortal and an almighty being was naturally miles apart. The other method is to cultivate one's heart. Donghua Shuiying said. A different state of mind would affect one's willpower as well. Thus, although they're all stage 4 world deities, there are some stage 4 world deities whose will is much stronger. Yes. Monarch Mo Shui nodded his head in agreement. To raise one's willpower, there are indeed only these 2 directions. One is to raise one's realm. The other is to cultivate one's heart. However, if you want to become a stage 4 world deity, you will still need some time. And if you raise your realm, I reckon that the test for you will also increase. Donghua Shuiying nodded his head. The test that he was going through was a stage 3 world deity test. Once his strength broke through, he reckoned that the Lord Commander would increase the seal. Thus, you only have one path. Cultivate one's heart. Monarch Mo Shui said. How do I cultivate my heart? Donghua Shuiying asked. He also knew about cultivating one's heart, but this was too unfathomable. Did he not see Emperor Heavenly Cloud's willpower pressure? It was stronger than many almighty beings. Could it be that almighty beings did not know how to cultivate their hearts? Monarch Mo Shui laughed. If you asked me before seeing my eldest daughter, I would not be able to explain it clearly. But now I can guide you. Dongbua Shui Ying's huge transparent face could not help but reveal joy and expectation. Cultivating one's heart. After reaching an extremely high realm, the true deity heart will be like colored glass and can release light. Monarch Mo Shui smiled. Observing one's own true deity heart, one can observe the light released by the true deity heart. My true deity heart does not release light. Dongbua Shuang said. I do. Monarch Mo Shui said. Dongbua Shui Ying stared blankly. You see, Monarch Mo Shui sat there, but there was a tiny Monarch Mo Shui flying out from between his eyebrows. Dongbua Shui Ying understood that this was his father-in-law's true deity heart. To release the true deity heart without any protection in front of him, it was clear that he had absolute trust in him. After all, to an expert, the true deity heart was the most important. And Dongbua Shui Ying looked. That tiny monarch Mo Shui's body was translucent, his expression serene, and his whole body was releasing light. This was a light visible to the naked eye. Cultivating a pure heart, the true deity heart will naturally release light. The experts of the deity world and abyss all call this light the light of will. Monarch Mo Shui said, to be able to let the true deity heart release light of will, it is clear that one's heart cultivation has already reached an extremely high realm. I heard that above this, there is an even higher realm in cultivating the heart. If not because of this gamble, he would not have entered Destruction Eden later on, even though he had experienced a lot this time. But Dongbua Shui Ying still decided that, without special reasons like saving his father-in-law, he would definitely not enter some places that exceeded his strength. Lake Heart Island, after all, was one of the best ruins in the entire deity world and abyss. Until now, the only special place he had entered was Destruction Eden, and that was because he was escaping from the pursuit of Nanyang Palace Head. There were many other special regions that he did not dare to enter. I know that you are cautious. Being cautious is a good thing. With a cautious heart, you can walk far on the road of cultivation. Monarch Mo Shui said, regarding cultivating the heart, remember what I said. You can slowly experience it yourself. At this point, no one can help you. Amen. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded. His father-in-law had already helped him a lot. No perplexity, no worries, no fear, an empty state of mind, courageously advancing, a single thought in his heart. The 6 words his father-in-law said sounded very clear, but any one of them was very difficult. No perplexity, even among the high and mighty world deities. How many of them were truly without perplexity? Chapter 565. No worries. How hard was it to have no worries? Even stage 4 world deities were worried that they would not be able to transcend. They were desperately thinking of ways to transcend. No fear. Facing people like Bloodblade and Temporal Island Lord, one must not be afraid. Facing death, no matter how terrifying the danger, one must not be afraid. An empty state of mind, that in itself was a form of transcendence. Advancing courageously, not being disturbed by anything, having no distractions, and having a strong belief to advance courageously. Not those who were like skeletons waiting for death. If Monarch Mo Shui was waiting for death, he probably wouldn't have reached such a level. He was fearless and without worries, but still had a strong desire. Going to the Lake Heart Island Historical Remnant was for his daughter and for himself. He was also searching for opportunities to break through. One's thoughts pure thoughts, no distractions. Just one was hard enough, but to do all of them was even harder. Within the Destruction Paradise, Dongbua Shui Ying sat at the edge of the platform, looking at the continuous mountain range. He was deep in thought, asking himself again and again, Dongbua brat, it is very difficult to break the seal with your willpower. A black-armored ape sat next to him and kept croaking. At your level, some pain and suffering are useless to you. You need to comprehend it yourself. Back then, the Lake Heart Island Master cultivated his heart and Tao here. Legend has it that with the magical robe on his body, he would shine with boundless light. Every living being in the universe, Even those mortals seem to have seen a figure emitting boundless light. That time, the Lake Hard Island Master truly reached the peak, becoming a supreme existence. Donghua Shuiying was shocked when he heard this. The entire universe, every living being seemed to have seen a figure emitting boundless light. This power was too unbelievable. Even if the universe was destroyed and entered a new epoch, or even your epoch, the Lake Hard Island still exists perfectly. Even your epoch hasn't been able to enter the true core of the Lake Hard Island. It can be seen how powerful Master is. The monkey sighed. Shuiying nodded in praise. It is indeed amazing. Our army of destruction's consummate skills were created by Master. Soldiers, captains, and commanders learn consummate skills that grow stronger and stronger. Even soldiers' unique skill is enough to make countless real gods go crazy. The monkey shook his head. Donghua boy, cultivate your mind well. Compare to my master. As long as you have a 10,000th of my master's cultivation of mind, you'll be able to break through the seal. Yuan Ho found Donghua Shuiying pleasing to the eye, which was why he said so much. Understood. Come try it. Donghua Shuiying flipped his hand and took out a gourd of wine, handing it to the monkey and a black gourd of wine for himself. Fruit wine. The monkey immediately took it and drank. TSK, TSK, TSK. His mouth was filled with wine. Ha ha. Although we are neither dead nor alive, we still have our sense of touch and smell. This wine tastes pretty good. Donghua Shuiying stood up. Senior, can I walk around the destruction paradise as I please? Feel free to wander around. Some of the important places are directly isolated by formations, and some places will expel you even if you barge in. There's no danger, said the monkey. All right. Donghua Shuiying tapped his feet on the ground. Xiao! He immediately turned into a stream of light and flew above the mountains. Although he was unable to use his world deity energy or luminous sun force, with his powerful world deity body, he was still able to execute many techniques, pressing forward with indomitable will and having one mind. These 2 points aren't difficult for me. Donghua Shuiying looked at the mountains below and pondered. When he was a young mortal, he already had the ability to press forward with indomitable will and practice his spear for a long period of time. This could be considered his talent. He was able to discard all distracting thoughts and focus on a single goal. No fear. No matter how powerful an expert is, I can only revere them, but not fear them. Even death won't make me feel fear. Why would I need to fear experts and be afraid of danger? No perplexity, no worries. Donghua Shuiying pondered. These were the 2 most difficult points. As long as these 2 points were resolved, there would be no confusion, no worries, no fear, an indomitable will, and a pure mind. It would be very easy for such an expert to have an empty mind. How can there be no perplexity? How can there be no worries? I care about the Xia people. I worry about my son and daughter, my wife Jing Qiu's safety, and my good friend, Brother Eternal Wind, who is still suffering in the dark abyss. Donghua Shuiying thought. There are too many worries, and it was impossible for him to be free of them. Even now, I am worried that I can't break the seal with my will in 10,000 years. There's also perplexity. There are many things in the deity world, dark abyss, and the material realm that I don't know. In the eyes of Master, I'm still very immature. There are many things that he hasn't told me, such as the historical remains in Lake Hard Island. Donghua Shuiying thought. Sacred Master Crimson Dust was already dead. How much could Crimson Rock know? Jing Qiu was only a stage 3-world deity in her previous life. Even Monarch Mo Shui was only a stage 4-world deity and not a powerful existence. The secrets that they knew were still too little. There are too many perplexities, even in cultivation. Maybe Master doesn't want things to be too smooth for me, and wants me to break through some of these perplexities? Donghua Shuiying sighed. Perplexity, worry. How can I be free of perplexity and worry? I really have to be like father-in-law. My true deity heart is about to collapse, and I'm also close to death. Only then did I really open my mind. No more perplexity, no more worry. Donghua Shuiying thought. He even imagined himself about to die and open his mind to everything. But no matter how he imagined it, it was still fake. Perplexity and worry were like invisible ropes wrapping around him, and he couldn't completely empty his mind. Emperor Heavenly Cloud, with such a strong will, his cultivation heart is probably not inferior to my father-in-law, maybe even higher. Dongbua Shui Ying kept thinking, flying in the destruction paradise. He even walked into some strange caves. He walked around and saw all kinds of strange scenes. Occasionally, he would meet the 8 soldiers and 3 captains of the Army of Destruction. While walking around, Dongbua Shuiying kept asking himself about his heart. Not only him, but even the white-robed Dongbua Shuiying in the Red Rock Mountain of the Xia people's world was also walking in the world, trying to find some inspiration from the fate of other living beings. Time passed, year after year. In the blink of an eye, his true deity heart had been sealed for more than 5,000 years. Halfway up a tall mountain, Shuiying was currently standing on top of a huge boulder. His right hand was currently holding onto a strange tricolored flower. He was laughing loudly with his head raised. His laughter rumbled, and countless ripples swept out in all directions, causing the entire mountain to tremble. No perplexity. I am really stupid. The world is so wonderful, full of countless unknowns. I need to explore, I need to discover. Dongbua Shuiying looked at the tricolored flower in his hand. If I know everything in the world, there will be no secrets. Then this world will be too boring. Just now, he found this tricolored flower, and he was immediately stunned. What a beautiful flower! It was bright and beautiful. The color was beautiful. The fragrance was mesmerizing, and it emitted a deep sense of vitality. At this moment, Dongbua Shuiying came to a realization. All the unknowns are the gifts of the world to us living beings. We need to explore, to comprehend. This is the journey of life. Dongbua Shuiying's heart was suddenly enlightened, and he felt much more relaxed. In fact, even the mysterious island in the lake, he no longer felt the slightest bit of fear, but curiosity. He was like a child, looking at the world with curious eyes. On the island in the lake, Dongbua Shuiying was filled with curiosity. He really wanted to explore the entire place to understand it clearly. However, he knew that he was still too weak. The journey ahead is still long. Let's take it slow. Dongbua Shuiying smiled. His heart was no longer perplexed. At this moment, he could feel that his true deity heart was much smoother, and his will had become stronger. Brat, what are you laughing at? A low roar came from the bottom of the mountain. Dongbua Shuiying was stunned. He immediately flew out. Xiao, turning into a twisting beam of light, he arrived at the source of the voice. At the bottom of the mountain, there was a cave, and in the cave, there were many thick and long chains. The chains were binding a tall and muscular man with red skin, red beard, and red eyebrows. His eyes were emitting a monstrous rage, and his aura was surging, as though he was a huge volcano that had been suppressed for billions of years. You are Paragon Huacheng. Dongbua Shuiying was shocked. A paragon of the deity world, whose strength was on the same level as the 3 ancestors, had disappeared for billions of years, and was actually imprisoned here? Brat, you know me? The muscular man with red beard and red eyebrows grinned. Chapter 566. The third chapter. Dongbua Shuiying looked at Paragon Huacheng, who was tied up in the dark cave, and laughed. In the God world, as long as it's a well-informed world deity, how many of them wouldn't know of Paragon Huacheng? Even though Paragon Huacheng was tied up, he was still grinning proudly. He then asked curiously, "Why are you in the destruction paradise too?" "I'm going through a test and wish to join the army of destruction," Dongbua Shuiying said. "With just you?" Paragon Huacheng shook his head and curled his lips. His actions caused the chains to rattle. Red hair. A golden light descended. It was a golden-armored handsome man. The golden-armored handsome man sneered. "Don't look down on this brat, Dongbua. Dongbua Brat has already passed 2 tests and is now going through the final one. As long as he passes, he will be a member of my army of destruction." Haven't you been crying and begging us to send your doppelganger out? Without any special reason. We are unable to leave the destruction paradise. But this brat Dombois is different. He is a real life and can freely enter and exit the Lake Heart Island. Once he joins my army of destruction, he can bring his avatar out. Avatar? Dombois Shuang looked at Paragon Huocheng in shock. Paragon Huocheng gave an awkward smile. His red-bearded face seemed to turn even redder. His face was originally red, so there wasn't much difference even if his face turned redder. Back then, a clone of mine entered the Lake Heart Island. I was too daring and got into big trouble, and was imprisoned here. Who would have thought that my true body in the God world was plotted against and lost its life because of helping a good friend? I was only left with a body and was imprisoned here with no way to return. However, a new clone has been born in my inner world. I asked the army of destruction to help me, but they only imprisoned one of my bodies. I asked them to send the other clone out to regain its freedom, but they didn't agree at all. I hope you pass the test. When the time comes, help me bring my avatar out. Paragon Hua Chung casually said, AI, actually I don't have much confidence in you. Other than Peng Yi, no one has successfully joined the army of destruction. If I fail the test, can I bring your clone out? Dombois Shui Ying asked. If we take him out, these were venerable level existences. Why would they be afraid of being surrounded by the Nanyang Palace head? No way, Paragon Huocheng said helplessly. I am a serious criminal. Only soldiers of the army of destruction can enter this cave and get close to me. Dombois Shuang tried walking over. But when he reached the entrance of the cave, a layer of restriction arrays appeared around him. Divine inscriptions swirled around him, making it impossible for him to pass through. I've been trapped for 113, for billion years. How pitiful, how pitiful. Paragon Hua Chung sighed. Although he sounded pitiful, he did not feel the slightest bit unhappy. Even though this was the first time Dombois Shui Ying had interacted with him, he felt that Paragon Huocheng was indeed a weird person. If he was imprisoned for such a long time, it would be hard for him to laugh. Dombois Brat, what's your full name? Paragon Huocheng asked. Senior, how long has it been since you contacted the outside world? Dombois Shuang did not answer him directly. Very long, I guess. Anyway, none of them can save me. My master and Peng Yi have some enmity, but master isn't willing to appear. Even though master is a dominator-level existence, this is the destruction paradise. It has the arrays and energy set up by the Lake Heart Island master. Master doesn't dare to barge in. Paragon Hua Chung curled his lips. At the start, there were some old friends who would occasionally contact me. But later on, the contact became less and less. Only my master would occasionally contact me through karma. Dombois Shuang was puzzled. He could not help but ask, Paragon Huocheng, your master is a dominator-level existence? I wonder who it is. Dominator-level existences could be counted on one's fingers. Just Bloodblade and the others. He had never heard of anyone being Paragon Huocheng's master. My master is called Primal Master. He is the most ancient dominator of the deity world and abyss. Paragon Huocheng's eyes were filled with respect and a hint of fanaticism. Most ancient dominator? Primal Master? Dombois Shui Ying was puzzled. He had never heard of it before. Paragon Hua Chung sneered at the sight. Dong Bo Brat. Not every ruler wants to occupy a territory, and not every ruler wants to be famous. In the deity world, there are 3 dominators that countless living beings know of. They are the sinister temporal island master, the overbearing Bloodblade, and the low-profile myriad god palace master. In reality, other than the 3 of them, there are 2 others who don't care about territory or fame. One is my master, Primal Master. He was the first to become a dominator after the birth of the deity world. The other is Empress Qianhe. She is the only female dominator in the deity world and abyss. Dombois Shui Ying's heart stirred. He thought of one person. Back when a myriad flower feast was held, the one seated at the highest seats, other than his master Bloodblade, there were also 2 dominators from the dark abyss and a graceful and elegant woman with a reserved and gentle aura. At that time, Dongbua Shuang was puzzled. Who was this woman? Her position seemed to be much higher than the three ancestors. My deity world actually has 5 dominators. Dongbua Shuang sighed. When you become a powerful existence or live longer, you will know about it. Paragon Hua Chung said casually. What about the Dark Abyss? Dongbua Shuang asked. Dark Abyss, there are only 3 of them. There is nothing to hide. Paragon Hua Chung said casually. Dongbua Shuang asked. Then including Primal Master and Empress Qianhe, who is the strongest dominator in our deity world. Bloodblade. No one is his match in a head-on battle. Paragon Hua Chung said. Dongbua Shuang nodded his head. Didn't Senior ask for my name? I am Dongbua Shuang. I am the personal disciple of God Emperor. Paragon Hua Cheng's lips twitched. He didn't find it strange. After all, to be able to pass 2 trials, one was extraordinary in the deity world. You brat, you are still showing off in front of me. Paragon Huacheng was rather polite. After all, he had a favor to ask. You had better hurry up and cultivate. Don't waste time and pass the trials. I am waiting for you to save me. As long as you save me, this great karma of saving my life, I, Paragon Huacheng, will never forget it. Once I get out, I will give you a great benefit. Great benefit? Dongbua Shuang was shocked. But it might not be of much use to you. After all, you are too weak. It might be useful to your master Bloodblade instead. Paragon Huacheng said, as long as you save me, I, Huacheng, will be your big brother. If you need anything, just call me. He had been imprisoned for too long. If he could be saved, the karma would be too great. He had once thought of ways to get Pang Yi to help him. However, Pang Yi had a conflict with his master Yuan Shu. Other than Pang Yi, no one in the entire deity world and abyss could save him. Don't worry, I will give a try. Dongbua Shuang said. Helping such an expert was the same as sending karma. If he could help, he would definitely help. Dongbua Shuang chatted with Paragon Huacheng for half a day. He understood many secrets of the deity world and abyss. He then continued walking in the destruction paradise, questioning his own heart and analyzing it. Years passed. In the blink of an eye, 10,000 years were almost up. There was only a month left to the deadline. What should I do? Dongbua Shuang sat cross-legged by the lake. He looked at the lake water in front of him. 10,000 years were about to pass. There was only a month left. The anxiety had completely affected his emotions. 10,000 years are about to end. Ma Will is still unable to break the seal. Hope is slim. Dongbua Shuang's eyes were originally filled with anxiety. Even his cross-legged body found it hard to calm down. But all of a sudden, he completely relaxed. Forget it. If there's really no other way, I can only fail. Monarch Mo Shui, I have let him down. Dongbua Shuang thought. Actually, Monarch Mo Shui had already consoled him. After all, he had lived for an extremely long time. And this time, Dongbua Shuang had already done enough. In his heart, he faintly understood that it was impossible for him to succeed. He started to prepare himself for failure. At this moment, his original anxiety was completely gone. Instead, he was calm and relaxed. Dongbua Shuang's body trembled. His eyes lit up. It's precisely because I have so much to worry about. My hometown, my children, my wife, cultivation, transcending and becoming a powerful existence. I think too much. That's why I'm filled with anxiety. Dongbua Shuang gradually understood. But so what if it's worse? My children have already lived for tens of thousands of years. Adding in the time acceleration, it would be even longer. My wife has lived even longer. Compared to countless mortals, they have lived for a very, very long time. Even I, Dongbua Shuang, have lived for far too long. How many mortals have had such experiences? So what if I don't become a powerful existence? After living for hundreds of millions of years, what's there to be unresigned about? At this moment, Dongbua Shuang was no longer worried. Instead, he was satisfied and grateful. He was grateful to fate. He was grateful to everything. It allowed him to have a wife and children. It allowed them to live such a good life. Hong. No confusion, no worries, no fear. His heart was clear and bright. His heart was pure. He pressed forward courageously. His heart was filled with gratitude. He was curious about the future. He wanted to explore this world that was filled with wonders. On this path of cultivation, he would work hard to advance. He would break through all obstacles and protect everything that he valued. Within Dongbua Shui Ying's sea of consciousness, that tiny little person, Dongbua Shui Ying, started to turn slightly transparent. At this moment, it started to emit light. Chapter 567. Break for me. The body of the tiny person, Dongbua Shui Ying, was like glass, emitting rays of light. He raised his head and let out an angry roar. His eyes suddenly erupted with a terrifying will. Huh! The will erupted from the true deity's heart. It was even more vast and ferocious than before, pressing forward with an indomitable will. Ka, a layer of blurry gray energy appeared on the surface of the true deity's heart. Many cracks appeared on the gray energy, and under the continuous attacks of the powerful will, the gray energy was finally torn apart, following which the gray energy melted like snow and disappeared. Dongbua Shui Ying, who was sitting cross-legged by the lake, opened his eyes and looked forward. A terrifying will was released from his eyes, and the space in front of him was completely distorted. It directly swept across an area of hundreds of thousands of li, and even the surface of the lake had caved in. This was because a large amount of the lake water on the surface had disintegrated into nothingness. The powerful will directly affected reality, causing the thick layer of lake water within hundreds of thousands of li to disintegrate into nothingness. When Dongbua Shui Ying closed his eyes and retracted his will, he opened his eyes again. The huge hole in the middle of the lake caused a large amount of lake water to surge violently. So. Numerous figures streaked across the sky and landed. They were the 3 golden-armored captains, 8 black-armored soldiers, and the black-cloaked Lord Commander who had rushed over. All of them looked at Dongbua Shui Ying with bright eyes. "Welcome to us." The Lord Commander grinned. "Welcome, brother." All of them looked at Dongbua Shui Ying with smiles on their faces. They were neither alive nor dead, and they were too lonely. Every time a new cultivator joined the army of destruction, it made them feel as though the army of destruction still existed. It was as though they were still in the same era of the universe. Dongbua Shui Ying looked at them and smiled. "Brother Peng Yi, Dongbua Shui Ying has passed the test and officially joined our army of destruction." The commander informed another member of the army of destruction, Peng Yi. Then he walked to Dongbua Shui Ying and said, "Dongbua Shui Ying, you are better than I expected. You are the first universe god in the 3rd heaven to pass the test. From today onwards, you are a soldier of the army of destruction." Dongbua Shui Ying nodded. "When you become a stage 4 world deity, you will be qualified to apply for the captain level test, and even the commander level test," the commander said. "All right, follow me to collect your weapon first. It's a true divinity artifact." The monkey beside him snickered. Dongbua Shui Ying was also looking forward to it. So. The group of them quickly streaked across the sky and rushed in another direction. It was a magnificent and huge palace that was even taller than ordinary mountains. The door of the palace was pushed open. The commander brought his subordinates in while Dongbua Shui Ying looked on in anticipation. "Look," the commander pointed afar. Dongbua Shui Ying looked. In a huge palace, there were a total of 8 light pillars, and each light pillar contained a weapon. Now, there are only 8 true divinity artifacts left. Hence, the army of destruction is stricter in recruiting soldiers. Choose one. The commander recalled when he had first joined. He was brought here too. Back then, the general of the army of destruction had asked him to choose a weapon. The general of the army of destruction was also the brother of the owner of Lake Hard Island and his master uncle. 8 true god weapons. Shui Ying glanced over and could not help but feel vexed. Among these true god weapons, there were 3 blades. One was a scimitar, one was a heavy machete, and one was a rather ordinary long blade, a sword, a shield, a long rod, a flying blade, and an umbrella. No spear. Dongbo Shui Ying was helpless. You seem to use a spear. Unfortunately, there aren't many who use spears. We didn't have many, and we ran out long ago. The commander said from his side. Shui Ying could only walk forward, getting close to each of the light pillars to begin sensing them. Very quickly, Dongbo Shui Ying walked to the second last light pillar. Within the light pillar was a flying blade, which was hidden in a sheath. The moment Dongbo Shui Ying got close, he sensed the aura of the true divinity artifact and his heart jumped. It was a special aura. It seemed ethereal and illusory. There was a feeling of mirage. However, within the ethereal aura, there was a hidden killing intent. This killing intent was hidden, and once it exploded, it would definitely be terrifying. This seems good, Dongbo Shui Ying thought. None of these weapons were suitable for him, but the aura of this flying blade was quite compatible with him. He had comprehended the true meaning of mirage when he was a transcendent. Moreover, one of his 3 secret skills was the destruction, which was filled with killing intent. Dongbo Shui Ying went to feel the last umbrella. That umbrella gave off a strange feeling that made it hard to tell the direction. Dongbo Shui Ying temporarily gave up on it. Every single one of these true divinity artifacts was amazing, but he had to choose one that was suitable for him. This was what he was good at. It would be easier for him to refine the true divinity artifact. Even using the true divinity artifact to comprehend would be helpful. I'll choose this. Dongbo Shui Ying walked back to the light pillar of the flying blade and looked at it silently. Are you done choosing? The Lord Commander asked. I'll choose this. Dongbo Shui Ying pointed at the light pillar in front of him. You won't regret it? The Lord Commander asked again. There's no way to change this. Amen. Dongbo Shui Ying nodded. The Lord Commander extended his hand, and the light pillar dissipated. The flying blade slowly flew towards Dongbo Shui Ying and stopped in front of Dongbo Shui Ying. Dongbo Shui Ying extended his hand and grabbed the flying blade. He then tried to sense and refine it. Hong! Dongbo Shui Ying felt as though he had entered a world of darkness. This world seemed very real, but strangely, it felt a little illusory at the same time. This made Dongbo Shui Ying suspicious because he was most proficient in the profound mysteries of the world. However, this world of darkness gave him a completely different feeling. This is a mirage. However, the mirage has already developed a sense of reality. Dongbo Shui Ying thought. This mirage, it had surpassed the normal rules of the world. Following that, in this world of darkness, Dongbo Shui Ying saw a bit of light. In a flash, it appeared in front of him and disappeared. Dongbo Shui Ying. The Lord Commander opened his mouth and woke Dongbo Shui Ying, who was immersed in it. A true god weapon is extraordinary. You are not even a world deity of the fourth heaven. You are still far from being able to refine it. The Lord Commander said, keep it well and comprehend it when you return. Amen. Dongbo Shui Ying nodded. The profoundness of the true god weapon was something that even Nanyang Palace Head and the others desired to comprehend. One could see how profound it was. This was also the first time Shui Ying had discovered that the mirage could actually transform into a real world. Furthermore, that final ray of light had caused his heart to palpitate and its power to be terrifying. To refine and use it would probably take a few days. His wife had obtained the true god weapon for so long, and her realm was higher than his. However, she had yet to fully refine and control it. Only by completely mastering it would he be able to unleash the power of a true god weapon. Let's go. You have yet to learn the absolute art. The Lord Commander brought his subordinates out of the palace and streaked across the sky. Very soon, they all landed at the stone pillars where they first learned the 10-world annihilation fire secret technique. You have only learned the 8th level of this secret technique. Finish learning it first. The Lord Commander said, these world deity level secret techniques, according to our rules, you can only learn one during the test. Once you pass the test, you will receive the complete version. After that, you'll have to make contributions before you can learn more secret techniques. These world deity-level secret techniques are only a few steps away from absolute arts and are very precious. However, the Army of Destruction does not have any missions, and you will not have the chance to make contributions. Hence, you can only learn this one. You will not have the chance to learn anything else. Dongbua Shui Ying did not mind, and immediately learned the complete 10-world annihilation fire. Hong Long Long. In the middle of the many stone pillars, a black stone pillar suddenly protruded out. Many blood-colored characters appeared on the black stone pillar. This is an absolute art that only the soldiers of the Army of Destruction can learn. Those true gods desire to learn it, but do not have the chance. The Lord Commander said, "This was created by my teacher. Although its power is weaker than the captain and commander rank secret techniques, the difficulty of learning it is much lower." Chapter 568. The Army of Destruction carried out the will of the Lake Heart Island Master. They fought everywhere and killed anyone who dared to provoke them. Back in his era, this army was the most invincible army. It was an army that made other forces feel fear. Even the weakest soldier could make the enemy feel fear and difficult to deal with. They were all extremely strong, fast, and had invincible defense. They were all monsters that could destroy the world. How could they fight against them? Why were they so strong? It was because of the absolute arts created by the Lake Heart Island Master. The three absolute arts were cultivated by the soldiers, captains, and commanders respectively. The difficulty of cultivation was also higher. The soldiers cultivated the extreme annihilation mysterious body, which had a lower difficulty. This is called low difficulty. Dongbua Shui Ying was speechless. The extreme annihilation mysterious body had a total of 6 levels. World gods corresponded to the first 4 levels. True gods cultivated to the 5th level. True gods cultivated to the 6th level. However, Dongbua Shui Ying only needed a brief experience to realize that the difficulty of the extreme annihilation mysterious body was comparable to the 4th transformation of the luminous sun. From this, one could see that the absolute arts that Bloodblade had painstakingly obtained could be imparted to his disciple. However, the Lake Heart Island Master directly imparted it to the soldiers of the Army of Destruction. Of course, even in the era of the Lake Heart Island Master, the Army of Destruction was his most important army. Moreover, it was extremely difficult to join. Although it was learned by the soldiers, this absolute art was still extremely valuable. Cultivating this extreme annihilation mysterious body requires many external materials. Logically speaking, many of them need to be exchanged with contribution points. The commander asked, "However, there are no more missions now. Therefore, I will give you some materials. It should be sufficient for you to cultivate the first 4 levels. As for the rest, you will have to rely on yourself." "Thank you, Commander," Dongbua Shui Ying said gratefully. In the Red Rock Mountain of the Xia people's world, the white-robed Dongbua Shui Ying had already started to try cultivating the absolute art under the time acceleration of 10,000 times. After so many years of cultivation, especially when he had reached the 4th level of the luminous sun and reached the 7th level of the 10-world annihilation fire, his cultivation level had deepened, and his understanding of the laws and profound mysteries had deepened. Hence, he only spent slightly more than a year's time to comprehend the first 3 levels of extreme annihilation mysterious body completely. As for the 4th level, it was too difficult, and he had to become a universe god of the 4th heaven before he could master it. Crackle. White-robed Dongbua Shui Ying immediately started cultivating on Crimson Dust Island. This absolute art was very special. The external materials were mainly used to condense body armor. On the other hand, simply evolving one's body to greatly increase one's strength and speed did not require external items. It really hurts. Dongbua Shui Ying could feel that his entire body was being reconstructed. His particles were also evolving into a mixed origin world, just that it was more stable, able to withstand impacts and increase the explosive speed. Moreover, The biggest difference between it and the time immemorial body was that the countless particles in Dongbua Shui Ying's body were more tightly bound to each other. It could be said that after cultivating this technique, the particle density in Dongbua Shui Ying's body had increased by 10 times. A terrifying power flowed within his body. White-robed Dongbua Shui Ying opened his eyes. He had a feeling that if he were to unleash the power of his body, even the treasure spirit of Crimson Rock Mountain would not be able to suppress it, and the entire Crimson Dust Island would collapse. What a powerful strength! Even its ability to withstand attacks far surpasses the time immemorial body. Dongbua Shui Ying exclaimed. Moreover, it even has an armor. Over at the ruins of Lake Hard Island, not even 2 hours had passed. Black-robed Dongbua Shui Ying had already cultivated the extreme annihilation mysterious body to the 3rd level. The difference between him and his true body was that he could borrow the external materials given to him by the commander to cultivate a body armor. The body armor could be fused with the skin layer, or it could be completely exposed. When it was completely exposed, the armor would be fixed in place, and the degree of defense would increase by a level. Hence, to kill a soldier, the attack would first land on the armor. Only after passing through the armor would the attack be transmitted to the body, which could withstand far more attacks than the time immemorial body. Naturally, it would be harder to injure the soldier. Rumble, surging power surged within his body. On one hand, it was the power of his muscles and bones. On the other hand, it was the luminous sun force of the 4th transformation realm. These two types of power combined and complemented each other, allowing Dongbua Shui Ying to reach an even higher level. Dongbua Shui Ying lowered his head to look at his hands and lightly clenched them. Rumble, faintly, a world crack could be seen in his palms. Its might caused the commander, the 3 golden-armored captains, and the 8 black-armored soldiers to be slightly shocked. It seems that the absolute art that you originally possessed is also proficient in strength. The commander praised. My previous absolute art also required the help of my fleshly body to be able to better execute it. Now, the extreme annihilation mysterious body is able to complement it. Dongbua Shui Ying stood up. Commander, captains, brothers, I still have matters to attend to and must leave immediately. Hence, I can only take my leave. And men, brat, if you have nothing to do, try to chat with us. As a soldier of the Army of Destruction, he still had some other items. For example, tokens, communication items, and other unimportant items. With the help of these items, he could chat with them frequently. Definitely. Dongbua Shui Ying said. Are you leaving now? The commander asked. I wish to go and help Paragon Huacheng. Dongbua Shui Ying said. The golden-armored handsome youth by the side sneered. That barbaric fellow. You are really helping him? In the past, they were too lazy to help, and the other reasons were all fake. If they truly wanted to help, they would have long thrown Paragon Huacheng's avatar out through the spatial whirlpool. However, they did not do anything because they did not treat Paragon Huacheng as one of their own. As for Dongbua Shui Ying and Pang Yi, who had joined the Army of Destruction, they had clearly treated them as one of their own. Very soon, Dongbua Shui Ying arrived outside the cave, where Paragon Huacheng was imprisoned. As a soldier of the Army of Destruction, he was no longer obstructed by the array, and could bring away Paragon Huacheng's avatar. As for the avatar that was imprisoned here, it could not escape, and had to endure the punishment. Who asked him to stir up trouble in the past? You succeeded? Wah, Huacheng can finally go out, I can finally go back. Paragon Huacheng was so excited that he cried out. He was too excited. He had been imprisoned for too long, and he even felt that it was possible for the entire universe to enter the Great Apocalypse. That would be too sad. Clearly, fate had given him a chance, allowing Dongbua Shui Ying to come here. Brother Dongbua, from today onwards, you're my brother. Haha, I have said before that I will definitely give you great benefits when we get out. This is my greatest reward in Lake Hard Island. Originally, I only wanted to inform my master, but now, I will share it with you. Paragon Huacheng was so excited that he was speaking incoherently. Senior Huacheng, Let's go out first. We can talk after we get out. Dongbua Shuang said. Senior? We are brothers. Paragon Hui Chung shouted out. Lord Commander shook his head when he saw this. He then said to Dongbua Shuang, Snow Eagle, if you wish to leave Lake Heart Island, I can send you out from the Destruction Paradise. There's no need for you to pass through the water layer outside. It's fine. I will go to the periphery of Lake Heart Island first. Dongbua Shuang said. He still had to take care of his wife. He couldn't possibly run away with his father-in-law and leave Jing Xiu there, right? Hua Chung. Brother Hua Chung, there might be some trouble if we go out. The one leading them is Nanyang Palace Head. Dongbua Shuang said. Nanyang. Is he even worthy of being called trouble? Paragon Hua Chung sneered. 100 billion years ago, Paragon Hua Chung was already a Paragon realm existence. Looking at the entire deity world and abyss, there were not many who could be his opponent. Other than ruler realm existences, there were some other great experts who were also Paragons. Even Dongbua Shui Ying's senior apprentice brother, Monarch Guzong, hadn't reached the Paragon level and couldn't be compared to Paragon Hua Chung. Very soon, from the closest spatial whirlpool, Dongbua Shui Ying rushed out and entered the icy cold passageway. I'm finally out again. Dongbua Shui Ying revealed a smile. Nanyang Palace Head, who was sitting cross-legged on a huge ice block, opened his eyes. He turned and looked toward the direction. Dongbua Shui Ying is out. It wasn't just him. Withered Tree Old Mother and the other three had also used karma to discover the location where Dongbua Shui Ying had appeared. Surround him. Don't let him escape this time. Nanyang Palace Head's eyes flashed with a cold light as he gave the order. Chapter 569. The old granny who was leaning on a wooden walking stick also turned into a ray of light, flying in the deep and cold ice cave passage. Her long hair grew rapidly, turning into many gray-brown tree roots. One by one, the tree roots broke apart, and a total of 9 tree roots broke apart. These 9 tree roots also turned into a gray-robed old granny. The 9 gray-robed old granny also flew at high speed. Following the fork in the road, they immediately split up and quickly surrounded him from different directions. Withered Tree Old Mother's eyes were filled with coldness. Little fellow, let's see where you can escape to this time. Nanyang Palace Head, Prison Dragon Emperor, Sovereign Zane Nuaw, and Red Transit Empress all quickly closed in on Dongbua Shui Ying from their respective positions. They had waited for so long. Naturally, they were not willing to let Dongbua Shui Ying escape. In the icy cold ice passage, Dongbua Shui Ying was not the slightest bit nervous. He even felt the cold air and revealed a smile, enjoying this beautiful world. The final test in the Destruction Paradise allowed him to go through a 10,000-year journey of questioning his heart, and also made his state of mind even more pure and clear and even more undisturbed by external things. Snow Eagle, I sense Nanyang Palace Head and the other 4 are approaching. Among them, the fastest is Withered Tree Old Mother. Her real body and 9 clones are all approaching, and one of the clones will arrive very soon. Monarch Mo Shui, who was in the inner world, immediately reminded. Oh, Dongbua Shui Ying also knew of Withered Tree Old Mother's clones, but since he chose to come out and wanted to bring Jing Xiu along, he was already prepared to be surrounded. Regardless, he continued to advance along the predetermined route. Suddenly, Shui Ying's ears moved slightly. He could hear some minute undulations coming from his ears. That was the vibration of space caused by flying at an ultra-high speed. This made the edge of Shui Ying's mouth curl into a grin. It's here. Your Highness Dongbua, it's better not to escape. Follow this old granny. A gray-robed old granny flew over from the front. Her wrinkled old face had a trace of excitement and anticipation. She really discovered him first. Dongbua Shui Ying completely ignored her, flipping his hand and extending his right hand. A scarlet cloud spear appeared in his hand. You still want to struggle? Let Mo Shui come out. He can still fight with me. As for you, Highness Dongbo, When you become a universe god in the fourth heaven, you might be able to fight with me. But now don't blame me." The gray-robed old granny reached out her right hand, and her shriveled right hand immediately transformed into countless roots. These twisted roots were densely packed, almost blocking the entire corridor. They then shot towards Dongbua Shuang, intending to capture Dongbua Shui Ying in one fell swoop. Shuang frowned and waved his left hand as he saw the countless tree roots coming towards him. Bang! A surging faint purple flame rushed out, like a huge fire dragon flying out from Dongbua Shui Ying's palm. At the same time, the temperature in the icy cave rose rapidly, and the ice layer immediately began to melt, turning into water. The water then continued to rise into mist, and the mist only existed for a moment before evaporating into nothingness. The change in the cave was extremely fast. The originally thick ice layer quickly melted and disappeared, revealing its true appearance, a rough and huge passageway. Saying it was slow, the faint purple fire dragon had already pounced on the countless roots in an instant. The two of them covered the entire sky, and there was no way to avoid them. Ah! The gray-robed old granny immediately let out a cry of pain. Countless of the roots were almost instantly incinerated, and some of the thinner roots were also incinerated. Only the thickest and main roots were barely able to resist the flames. But such an intense pain caused the gray-robed old granny to reveal an expression of shock and anger. The roots quickly retracted, but the faint purple flame did not let her go and completely enveloped her body, burning the gray-robed old granny to the point of letting out cries of pain. It was painful. Although this was just an avatar, it still had the strength of a powerful existence. Who would have thought that she would be burned to such an extent and instantly be at a disadvantage? 10 Apocalyptic Flame, its power is not bad. Dongbua Shui Ying praised inwardly. The 7th level of the 10 Apocalyptic Flame was originally something that only stage 4 world deities could cultivate under normal circumstances. Because of the test of the Army of Destruction, Dongbua Shui Ying had to spend so much time to cultivate it. Its difficulty was even higher than the 4th boundary of the 3rd volume of the Luminous Sun, and its power was also extremely impressive. As a world deity level secret technique that was close to an absolute art, after cultivating the 7th level, one's strength would be close to that of a powerful existence, and it relied on flames. And the gray-robed old granny specialized in tree roots and wood. Coincidentally, she was countered by the flames. The flames were powerful enough to counter her, and she had only sent an avatar. Naturally, she was burnt to the point where she could not retaliate. Woo woo woo. It was so painful that the gray-robed old granny could only turn around and escape. If she wasted any more time, this avatar would most likely be burnt to ashes. Your Highness Dongbua, you can't escape. Stop struggling. The gray-robed old granny was still shouting as she escaped. Withered tree old mother, I'm afraid your strength is not enough. Dongbua Shui Ying said indifferently, his voice reverberating in this rough and huge tunnel that had already changed greatly. And at this time, Monarch Mo Shui from the inner world immediately reminded, Snow Eagle, Sovereign Zainua is approaching. Withered Tree Old Mother's real body is also approaching, and Nanyang Palace Head is also approaching. Understood. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded and continued to advance at high speed. In just a breath's time, south, a majestic and huge rock giant whose entire body was burning with flames appeared in front of him. This rock giant also let out a powerful roar. Your Highness Dongbua, it's better if you surrender. As a magma giant that came from the dark abyss, Sovereign Zainua was very confident in his strength. His right palm directly streaked across the sky, his palm rapidly becoming bigger and directly grabbed towards Dongbua Shui Ying. On this huge palm, flames rose, and the power caused time and space to faintly freeze. Not only was his strength extremely strong, even his realm was extremely high. Sovereign Zainua, This is my god realm's matter. Why do you, a person from the dark abyss, need to meddle? Dongbua Shui-Ying waved the long spear in his hand. When the long spear was waved, it caused the space to distort, and, at the same time, the long spear's body also rapidly expanded and became longer. In almost an instant, the long spear's head directly smashed onto the huge rock palm that was enveloping him. The corner of Sovereign Zhe Nua's mouth couldn't help but slightly curl up. Meet force with force? One must know that he had the strength to fight against powerful existences. Although his realm was high, his strength was his greatest advantage. When other experts of the same level fought with him, they wouldn't meet force with force. In battle, one had to display one's advantage and avoid one's weakness. This Highness Dongbua, who was filled with potential but was still very young, was actually going to meet force with him? Sovereign Zhe Nua? Rumble. Sovereign Zhe Nua's expression suddenly changed. He felt an incomparably vast power that made him feel faintly fearful coming from the long spear. That was a power that far surpassed his. In almost an instant, cracks appeared on his huge palm. Dongbua Shui-Ying's long spear directly smashed onto his palm, and then directly crushed over, smashing onto his body. He could only use his other hand to block at the same time. The huge body was whipped, and with a swoosh, it transformed into a stream of light and flew backwards, heavily smashing onto the ice layer of the ice passageway in the distance. The ice layer that was more than 100 feet long completely shattered, and the body that was burning with flames smashed onto the Black Mountain rocks. Sovereign Zhe Nua stared blankly for a moment, unable to react. He looked at Dongbua Shui-Ying, who was wielding the long spear in the distance. He, Sovereign Zhe Nua of the Dark Abyss, an existence that could rival powerful existences. The power that he was so proud of was actually completely crushed. You want to meet force with me? Dongbua Shui-Ying retracted his long spear, feeling the terrifying power that was surging within his body that could destroy the heavens and exterminate the earth. The luminous sun force was extremely young and extremely ferocious, and the army of destruction soldiers' absolute art extreme annihilation mysterious body cultivated his body to an extremely ferocious state, and also made his power and speed extremely ferocious. Combining the two, Dongbua Shui-Ying's battle power directly soared to the level of powerful existences. His realm was only at the stage 3 world deity realm, and he was still far from it. Compared to Sovereign Zhe Nua, compared to powerful existences, he was still much weaker. But why did he have the battle power of powerful existences? It was because his power and speed were too terrifying. So terrifying that it completely made up for the flaws in his realm. Sovereign Zhe Nua, and a soldier who grasped an absolute art, and was even the most terrifying army of the ancient universe era, the army of destruction, competing in power? That was simply asking to be humiliated. If he relied on his realm to contend with Dongbua Shui-Ying, he could still hold on for a while. But if he met force with force head-on, he would be directly crushed. Chapter 570. This Dongbua Shui-Ying's strength has actually reached such a level. Sovereign Zhe Nua leaned against the black stone wall, but his heart was in turmoil. His strength has completely suppressed me, far surpassing me. Even if his realm is much weaker than mine, just based on this terrifying strength, he can match powerful existences. But he is only a stage 3 world deity. A stage 3 world deity can match powerful existences. What about a stage 4 world deity? A stage 4 world deity was when one's strength increased the fastest because they could comprehend by analogy and grasp grade 1 deity heart after grade 1 deity heart, and could even increase their realm to the same level as powerful existences. Thus, stage 4 world deities fighting across realms was a common occurrence. In history, there were some extremely tyrannical ones, like Emperor Heavenly Cloud, who could even kill powerful existences as stage 4 world deities. And the legendary existence, Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master. He was a stage 4 world deity and was known as one of the three ancestors in the Bloodshed God Palace. Even his lifespan was ridiculously long. This Dongbua Shuiying is too powerful. In the future, it won't be difficult for him to transcend and become a powerful existence. I believe he has the chance to become a paragon existence. Sovereign Zhang Nuo thought. His attitude towards Dongbua Shuiying had changed. Unless there was a treasure that could allow him to transcend, he was not willing to offend Dongbua Shuiying. After all, he was helping Nanyang Palace head this time, and it was impossible for him to obtain the true god weapon. Your Highness Dongbua, this flame-controlling secret technique of yours is truly powerful. A hoarse voice with a strange undulation reverberated within the tunnel. It's withered tree, old mother. Sovereign Zhang Nuo immediately knew, but laughed coldly in his heart. This withered tree, old mother, was definitely going to suffer. Shio. Twisted and powerful grayish-brown tree roots streaked across the sky, and heaven and earth faintly changed color. It was as if every tree root contained endless laws and mysteries. With one look, Dongbua Shuiying knew that withered tree old mother's true body had come. Her true body strength was much stronger, especially since these tree roots did not have countless tentacles. Only the trunk attacked, and it could withstand his flames. Be careful, don't fight him head-on. Sovereign Zhang Nuo still transmitted a message. Withered tree old mother leaned on her walking stick. The huge grayish-brown tree roots that separated from her hair had already surrounded and attacked. At this moment, she was filled with anger and wanted to protect her face as a mighty being, so she did not care about Sovereign Zhang Nuo's words. Withered tree old mother, is it worth risking your life for the Nanyang Palace head? Dongbua Shuiying abruptly swung his spear with both hands. As he swung his spear down, it expanded rapidly and struck out mightily. There was a ring of darkness around the spear, but outside the ring of darkness was boundless radiance. However, Withered Tree Old Mother did not care about it at all. In terms of realm, the difference between them was too great. Her technique looked ordinary, but in reality, it was the fusion of many laws and profound mysteries into one. Pa. The spear swung down furiously, and the tree roots also fiercely lashed over, wanting to entangle Dongbua Shuiying and capture him. However, when the spear lashed onto the tree roots, the grayish-brown tree roots broke apart one by one. This caused Withered Tree Old Mother's expression to change greatly, and she immediately controlled some of the grayish-brown tree roots to change their technique, becoming more feminine. However, the spear had already crushed in front of Withered Tree Old Mother. After all, when an expert made a move, one wrong move would immediately put her at a disadvantage. She waved the wooden walking stick in her hand to block. Pong! Withered Tree Old Mother's entire body flew backwards to dissipate the force, and then she staggered to the ground. She looked at the distant Dongbua Shuiying in shock. If it could be said that she was careless at the beginning, then using the walking stick to block at the end was really going all out, but she was still suppressed. She immediately understood. This Highness Dongbua, his strength is not much different from mine. In terms of strength, he is even more tyrannical. Say it was slow. Withered Tree Old Mother's true body appeared, attacked, and was then suppressed and forced back. However, this happened in an instant. I have no ill intentions. Withered Tree Old Mother hurriedly shouted. Dongbua Shuiying was stunned. He saw a figure suddenly appear beside Withered Tree Old Mother. This was a figure shrouded in a purple robe, and his head was covered. There were purple divine tattoos on his face, but his eyes were golden, and he smiled. Highness Dongbua, Withered Tree indeed has no ill intentions. I just want to help Highness Dongbua avoid the pursuit of 9 sons. You are purple-robed Hex Emperor? Dongbua Shuiying was astonished. Purple-robed Hex Emperor. He was an extremely powerful major being from one of the 3 major powers of the deity realm, the Pantheon Palace. He had also risen up in the material realm, and when he was in the mortal world of the material realm, he called himself purple-robed. It seemed that purple-robed had a special meaning in his hometown. He had always been researching hex poisons and rarely ventured out to adventure. His attainments in hex poisons were extremely high, and he had even used hex poisons to modify his body, giving him an extremely tyrannical hex poisons body. He was also publicly acknowledged to be in existence close to the Paragon level, and was equally famous as Nine-Yang Palace Head and Monarch Guzong. Nine-Yang Palace Head and Monarch Guzong were the personal disciples of Temporal Island Lord and Bloodblade respectively, which was why they had combat strength close to that of a Paragon. However, purple-robed Hex Emperor had always been relying on himself. He had immersed himself in researching hex poisons, and it was normal for him to research for billions of years. I didn't expect your highness to know my name. I haven't been out for a long time. Your highness, now isn't the time to chat. How about I bring your highness away first? 9 Suns will be here soon. Purple-robed Hex Emperor said. There's no need to trouble Hex Emperor. Dongbua Shuang smiled. Purple-robed Hex Emperor shook his head lightly. It's not troublesome. Just as he finished his words, Dongbua Shuang felt a wave of dizziness. Luckily, he had cultivated the extreme annihilation mysterious body, and his body was extremely strong, much stronger than many powerful existences. His endurance was also much stronger. Although he felt dizzy, he was still able to maintain his consciousness. The soldiers of the Army of Destruction weren't that easy to capture. Not good. Dongbua Shuang immediately retreated explosively. Amen. Purple-robed Hex Emperor was astonished. Even ordinary powerful existences would have fainted and collapsed. This Dongbua Shuang was actually able to withstand it? Wasn't his body's resistance to hex poisons too strong? With this explosive retreat, Dongbua Shuang's speed immediately soared. If purple-robed Hex Emperor wanted to capture him again, he would have to waste some time. However, there wasn't enough time. South. A cold youth instantly flew over from afar. His face was filled with killing intent as he glanced at Withered Tree, Old Mother. Withered Tree, Old Mother stood beside purple-robed Hex Emperor and smiled. This old granny has a favor to ask of Hex Emperor. Palace Head, I'm sorry. Nine-Yang Palace Head looked coldly at purple-robed Hex Emperor and said solemnly, Purple Robe, you want to fight with me? You're someone who studies hex poisons, and you want to snatch true god weapons? Every true god weapon has its own path. I am currently stuck at a bottleneck, and am unable to improve. I can only use it as a reference. Maybe I could be inspired and take that step. Purple-robed Hex Emperor's face, which was filled with purple god-marking, smiled. Nine-Yang, you have the absolute art of time, Island Lord. However, if you were to fight with me, I'm afraid the one to take away His Highness Dongbua will still be me. So, I advise you to give up. Is that so? Nine-Yang Palace Head's eyes were filled with killing intent. The two of them faced each other from afar. The terrifying aura caused the hearts of the surrounding Withered Tree, Old Mother, and Sovereign Zainua to tighten. The two of them were extremely powerful, and their battle prowess was close to that of a paragon. Ordinary almighty existences couldn't fight against them at all. You should know that your chances are very low. Purple-robed Hex Emperor was still indifferent. Nine-Yang Palace Head's killing intent was getting stronger and stronger. He knew that in terms of battle prowess, the two of them were equal. However, purple-robed Hex Emperor had walked up step by step and didn't have any absolute art. To have such battle prowess, he relied on many techniques. He had many techniques. For example, some of his clones were much stronger than Nine-Yang Palace Head. Nine-Yang Palace Head understood that his chances of success were less than 10% when the two of them snatched Dongbua Shuang. Seems like I still have to make a move. Purple-robed Hex Emperor's golden eyes started to have countless runes circulating. He could see the laws of heaven and earth clearly, and his killing intent started to rise. Dongbua Shuang, who was far away, also felt threatened. He transmitted a message. Big Brother Hua Chung, I can't fight against these two. Who? A figure appeared beside Dongbua Shuang. It was Paragon Hua Chung. Leave it to me. Don't worry, it won't be long. Paragon Hua Chung grinned, revealing a mouthful of white teeth. He then stepped on the void and walked over. The distant Nine-Yang Palace head and purple-robed Hex Emperor felt an intense sense of danger at the same time. It was as though a huge sun star was approaching. The two of them hurriedly turned their heads. From afar, they saw a figure bathed in blazing flames walking over. His figure was majestic, and he wore simple clothes, revealing a patch of red skin. He had messy red hair, a red beard, and red eyebrows. It was as though he was the ruler of the flames. His eyes looked over, and there seemed to be endless volcanoes hidden deep in his eyes. Paragon Hua Chung, purple-robed Hex Emperor, and Nine-Yang Palace head were shocked. Paragon Hua Chung was an extremely ancient paragon. His master was also the first ruler of the deity world and abyss, the primal master. Paragon Hua Chung had lived for far too long. His strength was also extremely tyrannical. Before Monarch Green and the rest rose up, Paragon Hua Chung was already one of the strongest paragons. At that time, even Pang, he had to stand slightly behind. Dongbushui Ying is my brother, a life and death brother. Paragon Hua Cheng's entire body was covered in blazing flames. His eyes emitted an overwhelming pressure. Are you guys going to scram? Or should I beat you up? Paragon Hua Cheng's voice was like thunder, rumbling over. Chapter 571. Purple-gowned Hex Emperor and Nine-Yang Palace head felt suffocated as the pressure shrouded their hearts. If it was some new paragon who had just opened up his own Dao path, the two of them wouldn't be afraid. But Paragon Hua Chung was different. He had lived for far too long and had long opened up his own Dao path. Furthermore, he had walked very far on this Dao path. The difference in power between them was obvious. Even if they joined hands, they would be easily suppressed. Hong! Heat waves surged forth, causing the stable space of Lake Heart Island to distort. Greetings, Paragon Hua Chung. Purple-gowned Hex Emperor bowed slightly. Paragon Hua Chung looked at him and nodded. Purple-gowned, remember the last time we met? You were just an ordinary, true god. Now that your power has reached such a stage, it is all because of your own comprehension. You're close to opening your own path. Purple-gowned Hex Emperor smiled humbly. Paragon Hua Chung has overpraised me. I am also stuck at a bottleneck. I always feel that there is an invisible barrier when I want to take this step. Hence, I came out to seek opportunities. Don't be anxious. Take it slow. Paragon Hua Chung said. Although he was overbearing, he had no killing intent towards purple-gowned Hex Emperor and Nine-Yang Palace head. Since Paragon Hua Chung is willing to stand up for His Highness Dong Bo, I will naturally not pester you any further. I will take my leave first. Purple-gowned Hex Emperor smiled and immediately brought dried tree old mother away. Only the Nine-Yang Palace head was unwilling. Paragon Hua Cheng's oppressive gaze landed on Nine-Yang Palace head. He curled his lips. Nine-Yang, you are a disciple of Temporal Island Lord and a personal disciple of Island Lord. Now, you are equal to Purple-gowned. Now, you still want to snatch Monarch Mo Shui's true god weapon. Dongbua Shuang, Nine-Yang Palace head bellowed. From afar, Dongbua Shuang flew over and landed beside Paragon Hua Chung. He immediately said politely, Nine-Yang Palace head, Monarch Mo Shui has done me a great favor. I will definitely protect him. Although his power had increased by a lot, it was not the time for his wife's identity to be exposed. After all, Paragon Hua Chung could not protect him all the time. Once he became a stage 4 world deity, there would be nothing to worry about. You owe me a great favor? What kind of great favor is it for you to risk your life like this? Nine-Yang Palace head was enraged. Isn't it just some pointers during the Myriad Flower Feast? You've already repaid the karma by protecting his kingdom. I will act according to my heart. I cannot back down from this matter. Dongbua Shuang said. Paragon Hua Chung, who was at the side, glared as a formless heat wave rushed over, causing Nine-Yang Palace head's expression to change. A layer of misty sword light appeared on the surface of his body, blocking the heat wave. Paragon Hua Chung scolded angrily. Nine-Yang, I've given you face. Moreover, Entering the ruins to explore, obtaining treasures depended on one's own means. Mo Shui risked his life to obtain a true god weapon. It was his luck. It would have been fine if you had relied on your strength to snatch it, but now I am here. Your strength is far from enough, so don't act like a scoundrel. The Nanyang Palace head gritted his teeth. He was unwilling. He had cultivated for a long time, but he was unable to take that step to open his own path. This true god weapon was a fortuitous encounter. Scram! Paragon Huocheng no longer had any patience. Let's go. Nanyang Palace head took a glance, gritted his teeth, and turned to leave. Sovereign Zhe Nuo and Emperor Prison Dragon, who had rushed over, also left swiftly. Dongbua Shuang looked at this scene. Big Brother Huocheng's reputation was indeed widespread. He didn't even bother to make a move, and the other party immediately retreated. Nanyang, this kid has extraordinary potential. Paragon Huocheng's eyes under his red brows were filled with regret. A pity that his cultivation heart is flawed. He is too eager for instant benefits, and is trying his best to find all sorts of external support to become a paragon as soon as possible. But the more anxious he is, the less hope he has. External support is ultimately just external support. He still has to rely on his inner self. Nanyang Palace head should also understand this logic. Dongbua Shuang said, "Knowing is easy, but doing is hard." Amen. Paragon Huocheng nodded. Knowing is easy, but doing is hard. Everyone understood this logic. But to truly achieve it, it was difficult. Let's go. Go and fetch your wife. Paragon Huocheng laughed. Dongbua Shuang immediately led the way, advancing rapidly. In the ice cave at the periphery of Lake Heart Island, Jing Qiu was meditating here. But today, she was standing on a piece of ice, looking into the distance. Father. Jing Qiu saw the figure of the white-haired, white-bearded, black-robed old man, and couldn't help but be overjoyed. Daughter. Monarch Mo Shui also flew over. The father and daughter pair hugged each other upon meeting. Jing Qiu's eyes were filled with tears. Her father had given her the true god weapon, and very soon, her father would be reincarnating. This made Jing Qiu's heart filled with reluctance. Not far away from them, Dongbua Shuang and Paragon Huocheng were looking from afar. Paragon Huocheng, who was dressed in scarlet red, with red hair and red brows, stood there emitting heat waves, causing the surrounding ice to melt. He looked from afar. Nanyang and purple gown don't know that this Mo Shui is your father-in-law. Your wife isn't bad either, to actually be a stage 4 world deity. Paragon Huocheng's eyes had a trace of reminiscence. In his eyes, Monarch Mo Shui, Jing Qiu, and Dongbua Shuang were all little fellows. After all, he had been imprisoned for more than 100 billion years just this time. It's a pity that without transcending, there's no way to be eternal. Dongbua Shuang sighed. As long as one lives happily, there's no need to care about the length of time. Paragon Huocheng laughed. "Oh right, Brother Dongbua, I've told you before that if you save me, I'll give you a huge benefit. It's a pity that your strength is still too weak, and this benefit isn't of much use to you. It's of great use to your master's bloodblade." Dongbua Shuang asked, "What great benefit?" "Back then when I barged into Lake Heart Island, even though I was ultimately imprisoned, I also obtained a huge harvest." Paragon Huocheng smiled. "I discovered the records of an ancient cavern dwelling. It's a cavern dwelling that the Lake Heart Island Master once lived in." A cavern dwelling that the Lake Heart Island Master once lived in? Dongbua Shuang was astonished. Lake Heart Island Master. Even though this time when he came to Lake Heart Island, he had merely entered a dangerous place, the ruined paradise, and that was merely the encampment of an army under him. It wasn't even the true core of Lake Heart Island. But just this dangerous place alone made Dongbua Shuang understand how incredible the Lake Heart Island Master was. The cavern dwelling that he once lived in? Just thinking about it, one would know that it was definitely extraordinary. Paragon Huocheng nodded. The Lake Heart Island Master should have wanted to leave behind some gifts for the living beings of the future cosmos epochs. That's why he left behind so many opportunities. The records of the Lake Heart Island Master's ancient cavern dwelling that I discovered should be one of the gifts that the Lake Heart Island Master intentionally left behind. It's a pity that such an existence's cavern dwelling, even if it was intentionally left behind, it would still be filled with danger. Without sufficient power, one wouldn't be able to receive the gifts from the Lake Heart Island Master. Paragon Hua Chung said, "Brother Dongbua, your power is still too weak. It's not suitable for you to participate in this." "I understand." Dongbua Shuang nodded. He was only a stage 3 world deity. Even if his fighting power had increased tremendously, he wouldn't be a match for Nanyang Palace Master and the rest. Not to mention some of the ancient paragons, or even his master, Bloodblade, who was a ruler-level existence. "I have already informed my master and Bloodblade of the news." Paragon Hua Chung smiled. "This time, the investigation of the Lake Heart Island Master's ancient cavern dwelling will be carried out by my master and Bloodblade. Originally, I planned to only carry out the operation with my master's faction. But now, both factions are working together. This is all because of you, Brother Dongbua." Dongbua Shui Ying was stunned. "Snow Eagle." A voice suddenly rang in Dongbua Shui Ying's mind. "Master." Dongbua Shui Ying immediately recognized that it was his master, Bloodblade. He could even feel that from a faraway place his master, Bloodblade, was looking at him. "Come with Hua Chung to the God Palace to see me." Bloodblade transmitted. "Yes." Dongbua Shui Ying replied. "Not bad, kid. You're quite powerful. You can even help your master." Another voice rang in Dongbua Shui Ying's mind. It was the voice of the Blackbird. Chapter 572. After Monarch Mo. Shui reunited with his daughter, he was not in a hurry to reincarnate. Even though his true deity heart was about to collapse with his realm, it was still easy for him to drag on for 1,000,000 years. He still wanted to arrange some matters before reincarnating. "Follow me." Dongbua Shui Ying brought Paragon Hua Chung, Jing Xiao, and Monarch Mo. Shui through the inner cave of Lake Heart Island. After flying for close to an hour, finally, they arrived at an enormous cavern within the belly of the mountain. Shui Ying first waved his hand, sending Jing Xiao and the others into his inner world. "I'd like to request for Lake Heart Island to send me out," Shui Ying announced. Instantly, a wave of power descended. Hua! Dongbua Shui Ying was directly wrapped up and thrown out along a passage formed by invisible laws. As a soldier of the Army of Destruction, when fighting outside, there was naturally no need to painstakingly pass through the lake water layer. In fact, there was a way to directly send him out from the destruction paradise. Moreover, within Lake Heart Island, there were many places that could be teleported. "We're out." Dongbua Shui Ying looked at the vast void in front of him. Turning his head, he saw that huge silvery white water ball in the distance. That huge silvery white water ball was Lake Heart Island. Back then, passing through the lake water layer to reach the island took 11 years, but coming out took only an instant. So. Jing Xiao, Monarch Mo. Shui, and Paragon Hua Chung appeared by the side. "We came out just like that." Paragon Hua Chung looked into the distance in shock. "Even if it was me, I would have to painstakingly pass through the lake water layer. Dongbua, you have become one of Lake Heart Island's people. Entering and exiting is much easier." "We were directly teleported out?" Monarch Mo. Shui said. "Looks like Lake Heart Island is still operating, and even the great destruction of the universe could not destroy Lake Heart Island. Naturally, Lake Heart Island is still operating." Dongbua Shui Ying nodded. Previously, when he talked to the commander, he knew that Lake Heart Island had its own order. It allowed them, these beings from the later epochs, to explore. If it was forbidden, Bloodblade might not even be able to reach the island. "Are we going to the Bloodshed God Palace now?" Dongbua Shui Ying asked. "No hurry, my master will be here soon," Paragon Hua Chung said. Dongbua Shui Ying was shocked. Big Brother Hua Cheng's master was the first ruler of the God world and the abyss. The space beside them split open, and an old man in plain robes walked out. There was no pressure coming from him, and he was like an old farmer working in the fields in the mortal world. His aura was gentle, and his eyes were ordinary. However, no matter how one looked at it, this ordinary-looking old man was able to nullify the laws of the world around him. He seemed to be moving very slowly, but with just a single step, he was already right before Dongbua, Shui, Ying, and the others. Monarch Mo Shui was shocked and excited, while Jing Xiu was still puzzled. She did not know who Paragon Huacheng's master was, and Monarch Mo Shui had lived for a long time, so he knew some secrets. "Master!" Paragon Hua Chung shouted. "Greetings, Senior Primal." Dongbua Shuang suppressed his excitement and greeted respectfully. Monarch Mo Shui and Jing Xiu also greeted, "Greetings, Senior Primal." "Dongbua, it is all thanks to you that Hua Chung could come out of the Destruction Eden. If you are free, you can come to my primal world for a walk," Primal Master said. Dongbua Shuang acknowledged. Primal. He had heard Big Brother Hua Chung introduce him before. He was the earliest ruler to become a true god. Even though he was gentle, deep in his bones, he was the most arrogant and aloof person in the deity world and abyss. He was usually too lazy to care about other powerful existences. He did not even participate in gatherings like the Myriad Flower Feast. In the earliest period, he had once called himself Primal Taoist because he was the first to open and grasp his own Tao in the deity world and abyss. After that, he opened his primal world and stayed there for a long period of time, calling himself Primal Master. But no matter what, this was an existence with unfathomable strength, an existence that stood shoulder to shoulder with Bloodblade and Temporal Island Lord. Who is he? Even though Jing Xiu was respectful by the side, her heart was filled with bewilderment. Monarch Mo Shui immediately transmitted a message to his daughter. Even though Primal Master wanted to know, he could still receive their message. But with his status, he disdained to do such a thing. What? An existence on the same level as Bloodblade and Temporal Island Lord? Jing Xiu was shocked. She was only a stage 3 world deity in her previous life. Her understanding of the deity world and abyss was still lacking. Look at your nonsense. Primal Master looked at Paragon Hua Chung and shook his head. Back then, your avatar was trapped in the Lake Heart Island, yet you still dared to ask your true body to save your friend. The moment your true body died, you were trapped in the Lake Heart Island, unable to leave. Luckily, little friend Dongbua saved you. Otherwise, it will be normal for you to be trapped until the cosmos apocalypse. Paragon Hua Chung nodded and smiled. This is your true god weapon. Primal Master casually threw it out. It was an enormous axe that was emitting endless heat. That time when his true body died, Primal Master had acted to retrieve this true god weapon for his disciple. My luck is good, meeting my brother Dongbua. Paragon Hua Chung snickered. Your avatar is currently trapped in the Destruction Eden, unable to die, leaving only this avatar to move about outside. Don't be too careless in the future. Primal Master ordered. It's fine. Once my avatar dies, I'll let brother Dongbua fetch my avatar from the Destruction Eden. Paragon Huacheng looked at Dongbua Shuang by his side. Brother Dongbua, I'll have to trouble you when the time comes. You won't reject me, right? Definitely. Dongbua Shuang said. Primal Master lightly shook his head. Let's go to the Bloodshed God Palace. Speaking of which, it was quite pitiful. Even though he was the #1 ruler in the deity world and abyss, he only had a single paragon under him, Paragon Huacheng. Naturally, it was because he was too proud and aloof, unwilling to accept any subordinates. Who? Primal Master brought Dongbua, Shui, Ying, and the others, forming a blurred tunnel around them. Not even a breath's time had passed before they walked out of this blurred and distorted tunnel. In the distance, they could already see the Bloodshed God Palace land floating in the starry sky. Dongbua, you and Huacheng will follow me to see the Bloodshed God Palace. Primal Master indifferently said. Yes. Dongbua Shui acknowledged. At the same time, he instructed his wife and father-in-law, Jing Qiu, bring father-in-law to my cavern dwelling in the crimson stone courtyard. This was something they had discussed beforehand. After all, the true god weapon was too important. It was enough for stage 4 world deities and powerful existences to disregard everything and act for it. Thus, staying within the Bloodshed God Palace was the safest. Here, they could peacefully comprehend the true god weapon. They would not have to worry about anyone daring to snatch it. So, Jing Qiu and Monarch Mo Shui immediately flew into the distance, descending on that land. As for Primal Master, he brought Dongbua Shui Ying and Paragon Huocheng with a step, arcing through the sky, directly descending on the core area of the Bloodshed God Palace. This is... Dongbua Shui Ying looked at the scene in front of him in astonishment. It was an ancient wooden house. Outside the house, Bloodblade, who was dressed in a crimson robe, was currently waiting for guests. On his shoulder was that blackbird. Who? The simple-robed old man, Primal Master, walked through the wooden door of the small courtyard. Dongbua Shui Ying and Paragon Huocheng followed behind him. Snow Eagle, come over here, Bloodblade ordered. Yes, teacher. Dongbua Shui Ying hurried over, standing by his teacher's side. Bloodblade glanced at Dongbua Shui Ying, his face filled with unconcealable satisfaction. Being able to enter the army of destruction of Lake Heart Island at Stage 3, and having cultivated for such a short period of time, not bad. It's just that with your strength, you dared to barge into Lake Heart Island. You have exceeded the limits of your strength, and that is no longer tempering yourself, but sending yourself to death. Dongbua Shui Ying did not dare utter a word. Little friend Dongbua is not bad. It is all thanks to him that we were able to save Huocheng, Primal Master said. Bloodblade also looked over. 2 existences at the peak of the deity world and abyss. One was the oldest, the first to become a ruler. The other one was faintly the most powerful one. Shall we go to the ancient cavern dwelling to take a look? Bloodblade had a smile at the corner of his mouth. This was indeed a huge benefit. Primal Master lightly snorted. You should thank this disciple of yours. You don't have to worry about that. Bloodblade's smile became more obvious. Star. Chapter 573. Dongbua Shui Ying stood obediently by the side, while Paragon Huocheng stood beside Primal Master. Bloodblade and Primal Master had already sat down and started to discuss the matter of entering the ancient cave dwelling. Your Majesty, God Emperor, Master, these are the detailed records of the ancient cave dwelling. Paragon Huocheng also handed over a gray scroll which recorded the detailed information of the ancient cave dwelling. Bloodblade and Primal Master took a look. As expected of the strongest legendary existence in the many epochs of our universe, Bloodblade praised. One ancient cave dwelling, and we can see his methods back then. I only regret that I was born too late and didn't have the chance to meet such an existence. Amen, deep and unfathomable. Primal Master, who was proud and aloof, was also filled with admiration. Dongbua Shui Ying was slightly puzzled when he heard this. He knew nothing about the terrifying existences that were born in the previous epochs of the universe. If not for him going to Lake Heart Island, he wouldn't even know about the so-called universe epochs. But his master dared to say that Lake Heart Island Master was the strongest in all the epochs of this universe. To dare to say such words, it was clear that he had absolute confidence in history. It seemed like Master and Primordial Master knew a lot more secrets than he did. Standing at the peak of this universe epoch, their horizons and knowledge were indeed thousands of times more than his. According to the records, we can enter 6. Bloodblade looked at Primal Master. Half each, Primal Master said. Bloodblade nodded lightly. All right, 3 on your side and 3 on my side. Actually, Primal, you don't have many subordinates, so why not give some spots to me? This scroll was left behind by Lake Heart Island Master. 6 spots, it had to be 6 spots. The addition of one of them would probably bring about many variables. Me, Huocheng, and Purple Robe, Primal Master said. Purple Robe? Bloodblade was shocked. Paragon Huocheng was shocked too, because not long ago, Purple Robe Hex Emperor wanted to obtain a true god weapon from Dongbua Shuang. He's from Pantheon, isn't he? Bloodblade asked. I don't care about the territory's power. Whether he's from the Pantheon Palace or not, it won't affect me bringing him to the ancient cavern mansion, right? The Primal Master did not care. He was a maverick and did not even care about the Pantheon Hall Master. In fact, in the entire God realm, there was only one person that the Primal Master truly cared about, and that was the Bloodblade. As for the Pantheon Palace Master, in his opinion, it was too stupid. Temporal Island Lord? In front of him, they only knew how to hide. Empress Qianhe? Even in front of him, they had to retreat. This was his confidence as the oldest ruler of the divine realm and abyss. However, he attached great importance to Bloodblade. He believed that Bloodblade was qualified to stand on equal footing with him. The Bloodblade was known as the God Realm's #1 in direct combat. But apart from that, the Bloodblade was also known as the #1 assassin in the God Realm and the Abyss. Yes, a ruler was a terrifying assassin. Direct combat was the #1 in the God Realm, but assassination in the dark was the #1 in the God Realm and Abyss. This was why the Bloodblade was so domineering, and the other rulers had to give him face. I once had an incarnation roaming the material world. Back then, I met this purple robe kid and casually gave him some pointers. The Primal Master smiled. After he entered the God Realm, I have been secretly observing his growth. Now, unknowingly, he has accumulated a lot and can open up his own Tao at any time. Opening up his own Tao is extremely important. Letting him enter the ancient cavern mansion and witness the traces left behind by the strongest existences of the many epochs should be of great help to him. Are you prepared to take in a disciple? Asked the Bloodblade. The Primal Master smiled. It depends on whether this purple robe kid is willing. It's not easy for you to take in a disciple. After observing him for so long, he is about to open up his own Tao. That's why you are taking in a disciple. The Bloodblade said, however, you, the great Primal Master, are here personally. This purple robe kid will definitely become your disciple, so I'll congratulate you in advance. Your disciple is also very powerful. The Primal Master was rather pleased, but he still asked, Bloodblade, who are you prepared to bring? Bring Bamboo Mountain and Gootsong. The Bloodblade said, Gootsong is currently stuck at a bottleneck. This time I'll help him. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master has great potential, but he is still a stage 4 world deity, unable to transcend. Since he has decided to rely on me, I will naturally help him if I can. The Primal Master nodded. This was also one of the reasons he admired Bloodblade. The 3 giants of the deity world, the Temporal Island Lord, Bloodblade, and the myriad God Palace Head. In his opinion, only Bloodblade cared more about comradeship. After the 2 ruler existences finished their discussion, they set a date for the operation and bade farewell. Brother Dongbo, if there's anything, just send a message to me. No matter how dangerous it is, I'll rush over as fast as I can. Paragon Hua Chung said before leaving. We're going to the ancient cavern dwelling soon. Once we enter, do you think you can come out whenever you want? The Primal Master frowned. This disciple of his was good in other aspects, just that his personality was too straightforward. Previously, it was for the sake of his good friend that his avatar had been imprisoned in the Lake Hard Island. Yet he still disregarded the danger and acted, ultimately ending up in such a state. I'm going to the ancient cavern dwelling soon. It's fine, I should be out soon. Paragon Hua Chung said. Let's go. The Primal Master was too lazy to speak any more nonsense with this disciple of his. South, he directly brought Paragon Hua Chung along with him, disappearing from the territory of the Bloodshed God Palace. Within the courtyard of the wooden house, only Bloodblade and Dongbua Shuang were left. Naturally, there was also that black bird on the shoulder of His Majesty God Emperor. Snow Eagle. Bloodblade turned to look at Dongbua Shuang. Teacher, Dongbua Shuang respectfully said, this time, it's also because of you that Hua Chung has sent this opportunity to me. Bloodblade said, your senior disciple Brother Guzong and Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master both owe you a favor. In the future, they will naturally return this favor. Actually, I really want to bring you in, but firstly, you aren't even a stage 4 world deity, so it won't be of much help to you. Secondly, your combat power is too weak, and it's too dangerous inside. If you were to follow me all the time and not experience any danger, then there wouldn't be any difference whether you go or not. This disciple understands. Dongbua Shui Ying respectfully said, in the deity world and abyss, he was indeed an expert, comparable to those ordinary true gods who had transcended. However, if he wanted to move together with his teacher, Primal Master, Paragon Hui Chung, Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, and the others, he felt that his combat power was too weak. This time, the 6 of them, the weakest were his senior disciple Brother Guzong and Purple Gown Hex Emperor. They were existences close to the Paragon level, and when facing the weaker new Paragons, they had the ability to protect themselves. When I come out from Ancient Cave Mansion, I will definitely choose some suitable benefits for you. As your teacher, I won't take advantage of you. Bloodblade said. Dongbua Shui Ying grinned. Don't be too happy. Bloodblade's expression turned gloomy. Previously, I gave you the position of supervisor, but you actually ran to Lake Heart Island. It seems like this position is too leisurely for you. Dongbua Shui Ying couldn't help but feel awkward. This disciple knows his mistake. Since you are so leisurely and your combat power has increased greatly, then I shall give you an important position. Bloodblade said. Chapter 574. Dongbua Shui Ying listened attentively. Bloodblade looked at him. You should know that my subordinates can be divided into 2. One is the Bloodshed God Palace territory, and the other is the Bloodshed Tavern. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded. That's right. The territory of the Bloodshed God Palace occupied 1/3 of the entire deity world. It was divided into 19 prefectures, and many armies were stationed there. The armies were also the method Bloodblade used to manage this territory. They were divided into 15 ranks according to their status. Dongbua Shui Ying was previously a supervisor envoy of the Kamsi Prefecture Eastern Region, one of the 19 prefectures with a rank of the 3rd rank. As for the Bloodshed Tavern, it was an assassin organization spread throughout the deity world, Dark Abyss, and Material Realm. The status of the assassins was determined according to their combat power. Ultimately, they were divided into 15 ranks. The lowest rank of the assassins was called the Attendant rank. They were all below the 9th rank, and most were peak deities. The main rank was the Manager rank. It was divided into the Black Blade Manager, the Shadow Blade Manager, and the Bloodshed Manager. They were usually ranked from the 9th rank to the 2nd rank. There were even higher ranks. They were the 1st rank, the Bloodshed Tavern Master rank. Every single Bloodshed Tavern Master was in charge of managing countless assassins. To be ranked as the 1st rank, their combat power was at least that of a powerful existence. Above them was the Chief Tavern Master of the Bloodshed Tavern. He was also the strongest assassin in the deity world and Dark Abyss, Bloodblade. I don't have many powerful existences under me, and there are even fewer who are willing to be assassins. My Bloodshed Tavern is spread throughout the deity world and Dark Abyss. I'm truly lacking in manpower. Thus, you will be the Bloodshed Tavern Master and be in charge of a region. Bloodblade Tavern Master looked at Dongbua Shui Ying. As the highest manager of a region, you will be the one to decide how to manage it. As for the details, I will arrange for someone to hand it over to you. Bloodshed Tavern Master? Dongbua Shui Ying was inwardly speechless. They were the epitome of terror in the deity world and Dark Abyss. They were all super assassins. Above them was the highest commander of the Bloodshed Tavern, Bloodblade. Not willing? Bloodblade asked. An assassin mission? Are they forcing me to kill someone? Dongbua Shui Ying asked. He was feeling a little resistant in his heart. Ha! Bloodblade laughed heartily. You really are a fool. There are only so many Bloodblade Tavern Masters in the entire divine world and abyss. Each one of them is in charge of a faction, and I don't have the leisure to interfere with your management. So you can do whatever you want. Even if you let more than half of your assassins die, I won't interfere. Even if you don't want to carry out the mission, I don't care. Slaughter, chaos, or peace. I don't care. I only care about the final result, Bloodblade said. Result. Dongbua Shui Ying was puzzled. What was the result? You'll know when you take over, Bloodblade said. Do you accept this position? Since you won't force me to do it, I believe that Master won't cheat me. I'll accept it. Dongbua Shui Ying did not hesitate. Bloodblade smiled. You're still too young and inexperienced. I'll first hand over the Bloodshed Tavern in the Calm Sea Prefecture, Cavern Crane Prefecture, and Nine Rigid Prefecture to you. Since they're all within my territory, it'll be easier for you to manage them. Right? You've become a Stage 4 world deity, and your strength has increased. I'll increase the scope of your management. Yes, Dongbua Shui Ying said respectfully. The territory of the 3 prefectures might seem huge. However, Bloodblade's Bloodshed Tavern was spread across the deity world, abyss, and material world. There was no need to talk about the material world, as there was no need for powerful existences to manage it. Both the deity world and abyss required supreme experts to manage them. There weren't many powerful existences who were willing to become assassins, so Bloodblade's subordinates were few and far between. Managing the territory of the 3 prefectures was already quite light. This is the token, and this is the robe. Bloodblade waved his hand, and a red robe appeared in midair. There was even a token placed on the robe. The token emitted a terrifying pressure, and one could faintly sense the aura of Bloodblade. It could not be faked. This robe was personally refined by me, and it has many miraculous effects. You'll know once you refine it and wear it. After all, as an assassin, you'll need a suitable robe. Bloodblade said, with this token, you can head to any Bloodshed Tavern branch and use it to prove your identity and status. Understood. Dongbua Shui Ying immediately kept the token and a unique robe that only Bloodshed Tavern masters could wear. Master, Dongbua Shui Ying said respectfully, I've become a Bloodshed Tavern master. I wonder if I can enter the Dark Abyss? Bloodblade frowned. You wish to enter the Dark Abyss? Yes. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded. I have a lifetime of brothers in my hometown, and they suffer in the Dark Abyss day and night. Previously, I wasn't strong enough, so I could only endure. Now that I feel that I'm strong enough, and with my identity as a Bloodshed Tavern master, I might be able to enter the Dark Abyss. Do you know what's special about the Dark Abyss? Bloodblade frowned. This disciple understands. Dongbua Shui Ying said, the rules of the material world were to protect the living beings within it. The rules of the Dark Abyss were darkness, destruction, and slaughter. It was the convergence of all darkness and chaos. The will of the Dark Abyss guided the living beings of the Dark Abyss to fight and kill outside. The more they killed, the more rewards the will of the Dark Abyss would bestow upon them. It would also favor certain existences more. If an outsider dared to enter the Dark Abyss, it would be like a drop of fresh blood falling into a school of sharks, causing them to go berserk. Killing an outsider would allow one to receive an extremely high reward from the will of the Dark Abyss. This would allow their true deity heart to be cleansed, allowing them to get closer to the darkness. This would allow their devil bodies to become stronger, allowing them to transcend more easily. Thus, even powerful existences who are on good terms with powerful existences from the Dark Abyss would usually meet in the deity world. It was very rare for them to meet in the Dark Abyss. This was because the moment they entered the Dark Abyss, the will of the Dark Abyss would treat them as prey, attracting countless experts from the Dark Abyss to surround and kill them. As long as this disciple isolates himself from all probing and does not allow the will of the Dark Abyss to discover my identity, it should be fine. Dongbua Shui Ying said, furthermore, I will only use my physical strength in battle, not my world deity energy, so I should not be exposed. Just like how the Crimson Rock Mountain prevented probing, the laws of the material world also needed his permission before they could probe the interior. Otherwise, they would not even be able to enter to investigate. The same logic applied. As long as he did not expose his world deity energy and his identity, the laws of the Dark Abyss would not be able to determine his origins. As long as they were not sure, they would not treat him as prey. However, The moment your identity is exposed, you will be in deep trouble. Bloodblade said, "Fortunately, the Bloodshed Tavern Master robe I gave you is very effective in concealing your tracks. The laws of the material world, after all, it is not a true living being. It is just a simple will. As long as you are careful, you should be able to avoid its probing. However, if your identity is exposed, you can only rely on yourself." This disciple understands. Dongbua Shui Ying said respectfully. He understood. The meaning of the God Emperor was very clear. The decision was made by him, so he had to bear the consequences himself. You can accept a mission from one of the Bloodshed Taverns in the Dark Abyss, then enter the Dark Abyss. Bloodblade said. Yes. Dongbua Shui Ying said. When are you preparing to go? Bloodblade asked. As soon as possible. Dongbua Shui Ying said. Then I will immediately arrange for someone to hand over some matters to you. Bloodblade smiled. On this trip to the Dark Abyss, there will be enemies everywhere. Even the members of the taverns I established in the Dark Abyss are all life forms of the Dark Abyss. You must be careful and not expose your identity. This is also a suitable tempering for you. You must definitely not die in the Dark Abyss. Be careful. The Dark Abyss is different from the deity world. That place is extremely evil and terrifying. Those experts from the Dark Abyss grow up in a world of slaughter from the moment they are born. Almost all of them are lunatics. Blackbird said, All right, stop scaring him. You can go first and accompany your wife. Bloodblade ordered. This disciple will take his leave. Dongbua Shui Ying bowed respectfully. Big Brother Eternal Wind had been trapped for far too long. Now that his strength had increased, he could no longer wait. It had already been tens of thousands of years since Big Brother Eternal Wind had been captured into the Dark Abyss. As for waiting for him to become a stage 4-world deity, even another 100,000 years might not be enough. He was only afraid that Big Brother Eternal Wind would not be able to hold on. Dark Abyss. Dongbua Shui Ying's eyes flashed with a hint of sharpness. Cultivating the extreme annihilation mysterious body gave him a powerful self-defense ability. This was also the reason why he dared to enter the Dark Abyss. Chapter 575. After Dongbua Shui Ying took his leave, he headed towards Crimson Stone Courtyard. Senior Brother Dongbua. In Crimson Stone Courtyard, the inner disciples and honorary disciples of God Emperor greeted Dongbua Shui Ying respectfully when they saw him. In this era below the Almighties, Dongbua Shui Ying was the only personal disciple of God Emperor and was their senior brother. Moreover, the news of Dongbua Shui Ying having the strength of a stage 4-world deity had long spread. Naturally, they were all convinced of his strength. What they did not know was that Dongbua Shui Ying had gone through a fortuitous encounter on Lake Hard Island and had successfully cultivated the 4th transformation of Extreme Annihilation Mysterious Body and Luminous Sun. With the combination of the two, he had the strength of an almighty. Just as he walked to the corner of a corridor, a black metallic man walked towards him. Dongbua Shui Ying could tell with a single glance that this was not a normal life form, but a combat soldier puppet. Moreover, from the faint aura it was emitting, it should have the fighting strength of a stage 4-world deity. Your Highness Dongbua. The black metallic man walked over and said respectfully, I am here under the orders of His Majesty to hand over some matters. So fast. Dongbua Shui Ying looked at the black metallic man in shock. This is a communication item. The black metallic man handed over a blood-red ring. Shui Ying received it. With a thought, he permeated his world deity energy into the ring and refined it. He could immediately sense the many functions within the ring. Through this ring, he could control and manage all the Bloodshed Tavern under his 3 prefectures, giving out missions, sending orders, dispatching manpower. Everything was done through this communication ring. If Your Highness loses the ring, you can directly send a message to me. I can help Your Highness pass down the order. The black metallic man said respectfully. Amen. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded. Just like the temporal temple, the people who dealt with trifling matters were the weapon spirits. In the Bloodshed Tavern, the people who dealt with trifling matters were also these non-living beings. They were more loyal and did not know fatigue. My master said before that he does not care how I manage, only the results. Dongbua Shuang said. Yes, the result. The black metal man said respectfully. There are two things that your majesty cares about. The first is that any guest who pays a sufficient price can issue a mission. Then my Bloodshed Tavern will do our best to complete it. If it is beyond your highness's capabilities, you can report the mission to his majesty. The other is that every 100 million years, your highness subordinates will bestow at least 300 million contribution points. Oh, Dongbua Shuang nodded. As long as a sufficient price was paid, the mission had to be completed. This was not difficult. If a weak assassin couldn't do it, then they would just send a stronger assassin. As for bestowing at least 300 million contribution points, that was slightly more difficult. It should be known that the Bloodshed Tavern had its own evaluation system for the difficulty of a mission. The number of contribution points awarded for each mission was within a certain range, and one could not mess around. The first point is easy. The black metal said, the second point is actually not difficult. If within 100 million years, the Bloodshed Tavern under your highness does not have enough missions, then your highness can issue your own missions. However, your highness needs to be careful. Giving out missions will also create karma. I understand. Dongbua Shuang nodded his head. Karma? Assassins did not have to worry about karma. Karma was created between the person issuing the mission and the target of the mission. If Dongbua Shuang were to issue the mission himself, he would have to do it cleanly and kill the enemy to minimize the karma. Actually, to transcend and become a powerful existence, a small amount of karma would not have much of an impact. After all, how could one not be tainted by karma when walking through the world and killing and fighting? It was just like spreading faith and making countless living beings believe in it. That would be the karma of countless living beings. Billions of living beings would be tainted by karma, and that would be troublesome. The actions of cultivators were to avoid being tainted by karma and to have a clear conscience. Cultivating one's heart was very important. If one doubted oneself and started to hesitate, how could one transcend? Why would Master set these two conditions? Dongbua Shuang was puzzled. He is already standing at the peak of the deity world and dark abyss. Why must he establish an assassin organization? As long as the price is sufficient, he must complete the mission. Dongbua Shuang was puzzled. The other point is even more strange. Why must Master ensure that the Bloodshed Tavern has enough missions? It seemed like Master hoped for the more missions, the better. But how would this help Master? Also, Master, the Temporal Island Lord, the Myriad God Palace Head, and the others are all very willing to be the witnesses for the vow. Dongbua Shuang thought. Experts usually did not like to be restricted by oaths, but during crucial moments, they would still make oaths. The oath would usually be witnessed by the Bloodshed God Emperor, the Temporal Island Lord, and so on. The moment one violated the oath, the Bloodblade and the others would instantly kill the violator with a single thought. Killing those violators. I'm afraid they have to kill a lot of them every single day. Dongbua Shuang had a vague feeling. If a person did this, it might be because of their heart. But since Master, the Temporal Island Lord, and the others are doing this, they must have some sort of goal. Also, this Bloodshed Tavern needs to complete so many missions, causing so many massacres. Dongbua Shuang felt that there might be an even deeper secret behind this. His own cultivation base was still too low. His master and the others were all rulers. They probably had their own goals. After pondering for a while in the corridor, Dongbua Shuang returned to his cave dwelling. Snow Eagle. Jing Xiao and Monarch Mo Shui were currently drinking tea and chatting in the courtyard. Seeing Dongbua Shuang enter, they stood up to welcome him. Jing Xiao, father-in-law. Dongbua Shuang greeted. Ha! Snow Eagle. This time, it's all thanks to you, allowing me to have the leisure to drink tea with my daughter. Monarch Mo Shui laughed. It's what I should do. Dongbua Shuang replied. He then looked at Jing Xiu. Jing Xiu, I'm preparing to go to the Dark Abyss. Dark Abyss? Jing Xiu and Monarch Mo Shui were both shocked. Jing Xiu asked anxiously, so fast? Is it for Big Brother, Eternal Wind? Amen. Donghua Shuang nodded. Jing Xiu was slightly worried. Isn't it too rushed? Why not wait until you become a stage 4 world deity and become stronger? In the Dark Abyss, there would be enemies everywhere. Donghua Shuang shook his head. If I wait for too long, I'm afraid Brother Eternal Wind won't be able to hold on. Moreover, my strength has increased a lot in the Lake Heart Island, so I'm still confident. At worst, I'll just lose a clone. I'll go with you. Jing Xiu said. No need. Donghua Shuang laughed. I have a disguise technique. If I bring you along, it won't be easy to disguise myself. Daughter, it's better if you don't go. Your current strength isn't comparable to Snow Eagle. If you go, you'll affect him. The Dark Abyss is different from other places. You can't be careless. Monarch Mo Shui said. While accompanying his wife and father-in-law, Donghua Shuang also arranged some trivial matters. His wife, Jing Xiu, naturally stayed in the cave dwelling to comprehend and refine that true god weapon. Monarch Mo Shui instead nurtured a clone. His true body stayed here to cultivate, wanting to pursue the last strand of hope of transcending. His other avatar went to meet his children and juniors. And before Donghua Shuang left for the Dark Abyss, he had received several messages from powerful existences. Mainly, they were powerful existences from the Bloodshed God Palace, or existences who could fight against powerful existences. Old Brother Donghua, who would have thought that you would be like us so quickly, taking on the position of Bloodshed Tavern Master? Ha ha. If there's anything you need help with in the future, just say it. Brother Donghua is indeed formidable. A stage 3 world deity, yet you can take on the position of Bloodshed Tavern Master. I've heard that you fought with Withered Tree Old Mother, and she suffered a slight loss? Donghua, all the Bloodshed Tavern Masters belong to the same faction. They soon knew that the new Bloodshed Tavern Master had appeared. Naturally, they all sent messages to congratulate him, all through the internal communication system of the Bloodshed Tavern. There were even 2 existences who specially sent messages to Donghua Shuang. Because they did not have any contact imprints, they communicated through karma. These 2 existences were Monarch Guzong and Bamboo, Mountain Prefecture Master. Junior Disciple Brother Donghua, it is all thanks to you that I could have such an opportunity this time. This senior disciple will remember this favor. Monarch Guzong was extremely low profile. Even through karma, he only said a few words. Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master was much more straightforward. The Lake Heart Island Master left behind the ancient cavern dwelling. This time, it is all thanks to Donghua that I could enter. I will never forget this favor. If there's anything you need, just say the word. Even if there's a danger of death, I, Bamboo Mountain, will not hesitate. The outside world thought that Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master was one of the 3 ancestors of the Bloodshed God Palace. But Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master had always felt a strand of anxiety deep in his heart because he had not transcended in the end. What was the identity of the Lake Heart Island Master? He was the strongest existence across the many epochs of the cosmos. There were 6 quotas to explore the ancient cavern dwelling. How could it be his turn under normal circumstances? If not for Donghua Shuang, such an opportunity might not even exist in the Bloodshed God Palace faction. They would all be enjoyed by the faction of the Primal Master. Such an opportunity would usually not be taken out for a transaction. Donghua Shuang naturally would not put on airs. He humbly replied to the 2. On the 3rd day after returning to the Bloodshed God Palace from Lake Heart Island, Donghua Shuang left the Bloodshed God Palace alone. He first returned to the material realm Xia People's world before leaving for the Dark Abyss. Chapter 576. Amidst the vast violet bamboo sea, there was a bamboo house. In front of the house, there was a purple-robed man drinking wine alone. Prefecture Master, Prefecture Master. Following the shout, a stream of light streaked across and landed in front of the bamboo house. It was a powerhouse with a sturdy body. It was forefather Fierce Tyrant. Fierce Tyrant? Aren't you cultivating in the depths of my violet bamboo sea? Why have you come out? The purple-robed man held his wine cup with his fair fingers. His handsome face had a pair of long and narrow eyes as he glanced at forefather Fierce Tyrant. Forefather Fierce Tyrant hurriedly said, "Prefecture Master, have you heard? Ying, that brat, had fought against the stage 4 world deity, sovereign Zeno of the Dark Abyss in the Lake Heart Island historical remains, and had also fought against the powerful existence Withered Tree Old Mother. He's just a stage 3 world deity, yet he already has the combat power of a powerful existence. This is 2. AI, Prefecture Master, why aren't you reacting at all?" Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master leisurely took a sip of wine and said indifferently, "He's the fastest cultivator to become a stage 3 world deity in the history of the deity world. What's the big deal about creating a miracle?" Forefather Fierce Tyrant was speechless. He then curled his lips. "Forget it. Prefecture Master, you're already a stage 4 world deity with the combat power of a paragon. I'm different from him." Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master shook his head. "How could they be the same? Those who could become paragons usually grasped an absolute art and opened their own Tao. It wasn't easy to fight a paragon. But Dongbua Shui Ying is indeed amazing." Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master praised. He praised Dongbua Shui Ying for successfully entering the army of destruction and saving Paragon Huacheng. Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master could guess that Dongbua Shui Ying had definitely joined the army of destruction. Otherwise, there was no way to save him. Although Pang, he was also a member of the army of destruction. Due to his relationship with Primal Master, it was impossible for him to save him. Apart from the high and mighty rulers who disdained to join, those who knew about the army of destruction had all tried. Many true gods and even paragons had been eliminated. But Dongbua Shui Ying had succeeded. This shocked the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, because by relying on absolute arts and some opportunities, he might be able to have an extremely strong combat power. But passing through the Destruction Legion trial meant that Shui Ying's cultivation potential was extremely high because that trial was set by the Lake Hard Island Master. "Yes, amazing," Forefather Fierce Tyrant hastily said. He was so close to becoming my disciple. What a pity, what a pity." "Your disciple?" Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master glanced at him. "Don't hold up, Dongbua Shui Ying. What do you mean by delay?" Forefather Fierce Tyrant said with dissatisfaction. "How long has he been cultivating? His strength is already close to yours, yet you still want to teach him?" Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master said with a smile. Forefather Vicious Tyrant was speechless. That was right. Dongbua Shui Ying's current strength was indeed similar to his. After all, it was not easy to make Withered Tree Old Mother suffer a loss. "I'm preparing to go into seclusion for some time," Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master suddenly said. "Don't disturb me for now." "Oh." Forefather Fierce Tyrant nodded obediently. Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master looked into the distance with misty eyes. This opportunity was very precious. He had to grasp it. One had to know that the Master of Lake Heart Island intentionally left behind an ancient cave abode. Usually, it was left behind as a fortuitous encounter for the later generations of cultivators. This sort of purposely left behind opportunity would be much more rewarding than going out on an aimless expedition. The Master of Lake Heart Island would guide them further on the path of cultivation. This was also the reason why Bloodblade brought along 2 people. One was Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, while the other was Monarch Guzong. Both of them were in urgent need of breakthroughs. "Dongbua Shui Ying, this time, I owe you a huge favor." Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master revealed a trace of smile. He was very happy to owe such a favor, because this was his fortuitous encounter. In the matter that happened in Lake Hard Island, Dongbua Shui Ying caused Sovereign King Zhe Nuo and Withered Tree Old Mother to suffer a loss. Paragon Huacheng came out and said that Dongbua Shui Ying was his life and death brother, and helped him force Nanyang Palace Head and Purple Gown Hex Emperor to retreat. This was not considered a secret. After all, there were quite a few who knew about it. As time passed, it began to spread amongst the powerful existences. Donghua Shui Ying's reputation also began to grow. Many powerful existences who were cultivating in seclusion also began to take Donghua Shui Ying seriously. This world was like this. Power was the most fundamental. Donghua Shui Ying's power was enough for many powerful existences to treat him seriously. Material world, Xia people's world. Black-robed Donghua Shui Ying had just come out from Crimson Rock Mountain. He had left the flying knife, true god weapon, at Crimson Rock Mountain for his main body to comprehend and refine it. It was not an easy task to refine a true god weapon. Moreover, this trip to Darkness Abyss was too dangerous. Since he had not successfully refined the true god weapon, he naturally could not bring it over. Actually, he and his wife had both comprehended the flying knife and the divine sword. It was just that he was only at stage 3 and had only grasped 3 grade 1 deity hearts. It was more suitable for him to comprehend the flying knife that he was most proficient in. As for the divine sword, the profound mysteries within it far exceeded his current understanding. When he reached the 4th heavenly layer, or even higher, he might be able to comprehend that divine sword. South, after leaving the material world, he arrived at the deity world, following which Donghua Shui Ying boarded the Starfield flying ship and headed towards Darkness Abyss. The Darkness Abyss was in the shape of a twisted pillar. It looked like an intestine and was formed from layers upon layers of worlds. Hence, the Darkness Abyss was also known as the Bottomless Abyss. The entire Darkness Abyss was pitch black, as though it wanted to devour and absorb everything. As expected of the Darkness Abyss, just by looking at it from afar, I can feel its dark, destructive, and devouring aura, as though it wants to devour and destroy everything. Donghua Shui Ying sighed. He stood on the deck of the Starfield flying ship and looked into the distance. In order to hide his identity, the Starfield flying ship had changed its appearance to become pitch black. Donghua Shui Ying's appearance had also changed greatly. He wore a malevolent mask on his face, and 2 black spiral horns protruded from his head. He was dressed in a dark red robe, and his entire body emanated a terrifying aura of darkness and destruction. This aura was similar to that of a native life form of the Darkness Abyss. One must know that it was extremely difficult to disguise one's life aura. However, Donghua Shui Ying managed to do it. It was because of his identity as a blood-edged tavern master that he was bestowed with that robe. That robe was extremely effective in disguising one's life aura. One must know that the blood-edged tavern master had spent a lot of effort to refine these robes, and they were specially prepared for the tavern masters under him. Being an assassin was truly not easy. Boom! The Starfield flying ship traveled through the space-time tunnel and finally arrived at the outermost layer of the Darkness Abyss. The world of the Darkness Abyss was made up of layers upon layers. Hence, if Donghua Shui Ying wanted to reach his destination, he would have to continuously travel through the layers of the Darkness Abyss. Luckily, the abyssal world where the great demon god Erhao resided is closer to the top of the Darkness Abyss. Donghua Shui Ying thought to himself, Who, boundless will of darkness and destruction swept over. This will was lofty and lofty, carrying with it the aura of slaughter, destruction, and darkness. It was as if it wanted to assimilate everything. However, the area around Donghua Shui Ying was isolated from all probing of laws, not allowing the will of the abyss to approach him at all. This feeling of darkness and destruction is truly uncomfortable. Those demons who have been living in the Darkness Abyss since birth actually manage to transcend and become true gods in the end. But just like what Master of the Others said, even if they become true gods, they're still lunatics deep down in their bones. Donghua Shui Ying thought to himself. Chapter 577. The Dark Abyss also had land and oceans, towering trees, rivers, and lakes. It was just that this place had a dark aura that never dissipated. This aura nourished every native life form here, causing them to be born with powerful bodies. However, all of them were bloodthirsty and murderous. These native life forms were called demons by the life forms in the material world and the deity realm. Swoosh! A demon was traversing through the forest, carefully paying attention to all directions. The history of a demon's growth was a history of slaughter. To become a demon god, this path was very difficult. Therefore, even the stupidest demon had cunning in their bones. That bone dragon isn't here. It should have gone out to patrol. That's great. This skinny demon stood on a large tree, looking into the distance for a long time before making this judgment. At this moment, rumble, in the depths of the dark red sky, a massive black ship flew over from the other end of the space-time tunnel. The aura it emitted caused the surrounding space to solidify. It might cause the skinny demon below to involuntarily tremble. The skinny demon could vaguely see an existence emitting a dark aura of destruction standing on the bow of the black ship. With just a glance, before he could even see clearly, the skinny demon immediately lowered his head, not daring to look again. His heart was filled with incomparable fear. Too terrifying. This was many times more terrifying than the Lord Demon God he had seen before. With just a blurry glance from hundreds of thousands of kilometers away, fear enveloped his entire body. Whoosh! Very quickly, the black ship tore through the space-time tunnel once more and continued forward, disappearing from this layer of the dark abyss. Only then did the skinny demon heave a sigh of relief. Who is this existence? Is it some great demon god? To the low-level demons, the great demon god already had an extremely high status. As for the Abyss Sovereign, under normal circumstances, such a skinny demon would never have the chance to see an Abyss Sovereign. Another layer of the dark abyss. In the vast wilderness, undulating mountains and forests, two forces were currently engaged in a frenzied battle. The might of the battle spread in all directions, causing countless trees to collapse. Some were frozen and shattered, while others were set ablaze. Demon legions advanced wave after wave, madly slaughtering. The Fiend Celestials took the lead and led the army. This was a war that swept across a huge area. This was a battle between two great demon god. The two great demon god were also in the center of the battlefield, fighting in a frenzy. The other demon gods and demons had all retreated far away. He, a 16-armed great demon god, stood in the air. His cold laughter rang out across the entire battlefield. One-eyed demon, your avatar has already been destroyed. You even lost your most important blood-refined weapon. You still want to fight with me? This time, you will definitely die. You won't be able to escape. On the other side was a towering great demon god. His head was half the size of his body, and on his head was a single evil red eye. He spoke in a low voice, "You are courting death. My children, follow my will and kill them all. Kill them all. Kill them all. Kill them all." The countless demons under the command of the one-eyed great demon god were completely fanatical, not even caring about death. Just then, boom, a large black ship flew out of the space-time passageway from another layer of the abyss world. The invisible aura it emitted made the two great demon gods involuntarily panic. As for the demon gods and countless demons under their command, they were even more instinctive in their fear. At the bow of this huge black ship, the crimson-robed figure with two spiral horns on his head also noticed this large-scale battle. He could not help but glance over. Although he did not deliberately release his aura, just the natural aura alone was enough to cause the demon's vision to turn dark. Their consciousness was in chaos, and they all fell. The demon gods were also trembling. The two great demon god demons were also extremely afraid. One must know that Dongbua Shui Ying's true deity heart cultivation realm had long made his true deity heart like colored glass. It was transparent both inside and out, and could emit light. If he deliberately released his will, these two great demon god demons, who were only at the first layer of the heavens, would instantly die from their true deity hearts exploding. As for those demon gods and demons, the difference in their level of life was too great. A single glance could kill countless of them. Dongbua Shui only casually glanced at them. Then, He drove the starfield flying ship forward. After passing through this layer of the abyss world, he proceeded to the next layer. When the huge black ship disappeared, only then did the two great demon god demons heave a sigh of relief. Could it be one of the abyss sovereigns? It could even be one of our dark abyss almighties. This power is too terrifying. I don't even dare to move when he glanced at me. The two great demon god demons were slightly shocked. Standing at the bow of the starfield flying ship, Dongbua Shui Ying did not care about the billions of demons. Not to mention them, Dongbua Shui Ying did not even care about the abyss sovereigns of each layer of the abyss world. After all, the deeper one went into the dark abyss, the stronger the abyss sovereigns were. Most of the abyss sovereigns were stage 4 world deities. To him, there was indeed no threat. To threaten him, one had to at least have the fighting power of an almighty. What he was truly wary of was the omnipresent will of the abyss. I must not let the will of the abyss discover my identity. The moment it does, I will become the target of everyone. I'm afraid that many terrifying existences of the dark abyss would come to deal with me. That would be a huge problem, Dongbua Shui Ying thought to himself. However, as a bloodshed tavern master, this set of robes is indeed very good at disguising itself. The possibility of me being exposed is still very low. South, he passed through layer after layer of the abyss world. 12th layer of the abyss world. Hua! The huge black ship arrived at this layer of the abyss world. The moment it arrived, Dongbua Shui Ying, who was standing at the bow of the ship, felt a sense of threat. It should be stronger than me. Dongbua Shui Ying looked into the distance. Then he immediately drove the starfield flying ship forward, heading towards the next layer of the abyss world. Hundreds of billions of kilometers away from Dongbua Shui Ying. This was a vast lake. The lake was dark and calm, without any ripples. In the depths of the lake, a huge creature that was in deep slumber opened its eyes. A pair of blood-colored eyes pierced through the lake water and through the obstruction of space, looking at the huge black ship that was hundreds of billions of kilometers away. A passerby? The huge creature watched as the huge black ship left this layer of the abyss world and headed towards the next layer. Only then did it close its eyes and enter a deep slumber. 23 RD layer of the abyss world. The scenery of this layer of the abyss world was extremely beautiful. The sky was clear and the air was clear. It was the most beautiful and most human-like world that Dongbua Shui Ying had ever seen. In fact, there were very few clouds in the sky, and the rays of the sun shone on this layer of the world. There were very few ordinary demons in this layer of the world. There were also very few demonic gods and great demon god. Furthermore, they were rather obedient and would rarely start a large-scale war. It was a very calm and peaceful abyss world. But Dongbua Shui Ying's heart was in his throat. This was the most dangerous abyss world he had encountered so far. The master of this layer is called White Sovereign King. He is an extremely bloodthirsty paragon from the dark abyss. Dongbua Shui Ying thought. White Sovereign King was a relatively young paragon, but his reputation was extremely great. It was said that every paragon would walk on their own Tao. This White Sovereign King's Tao was some sort of Tao of slaughter. He fought and slaughtered and was extremely formidable. In a luxurious palace hall that was rather far away from Dongbua Shui Ying, there were a large number of chefs sitting in the palace hall preparing all sorts of delicacies. Plate after plate of delicacies were sent to the front of the esteemed master. And the person eating the delicacies was an extremely handsome man dressed in silver-white armor. Both his hands held onto a blade, and he was very proficient in cutting the food and eating it. He was enjoying it very much. He was White Sovereign King. His killing and bloodthirstiness were famous in the entire abyss. But normally, he was extremely fond of peace and delicacies. Suddenly, he glanced into the distance. He saw a crimson-robed figure on the huge black ship. This robe? Is it some tavern master of the Bloodshed Tavern? White Sovereign King lightly muttered to himself before continuing to eat his delicacies. It was normal for powerful existences to occasionally pass by his world, and he was too lazy to care about them. Only after leaving the 23rd layer of the Abyss world did Dongbua Shui heave a sigh of relief. This was the only existence that could easily kill him along the way. Killing him in a single move was not just for show. Soon, Dongbua Shui revealed a smile. He continued moving forward. The 26th layer of the Abyss world was where his target, the great demon god, the heir, How lived. Chapter 578. The last part of the journey passed without any trouble, and the Starfield flying ship soon arrived at the 26th level of the Abyss. In truth, not encountering any danger along the way was within expectations. After all, the powerful existences of the Abyss often traversed the various Abyss realms. It would be a joke if they got into a fight just by passing by. Thus, this journey was quite safe, provided that their identities were not exposed. We're here, standing on the Starfield flying ship. Dongbua Shui gazed into the distance, his eyes filled with anticipation. Big Brother Eternal Wind, I'm here. I hope you're still holding on. The heir How. Dongbua Shui Ying's eyes were filled with coldness. The heir How had infiltrated the Xia people's world from an endless distance, controlling a small amount of power from afar, but he had already caused a bloodbath in the Xia people's world, nearly causing the extermination of the Xia people. Dongbua Shui naturally would not be merciful towards him, but he had to first rescue Big Brother Eternal Wind and his wife. Big Brother Eternal Wind's willpower is extraordinary. Holding on for tens of thousands of years shouldn't be a problem. The closer Dongbua Shui got to his goal, the more apprehensive he became. Within a grand hall, a black-armored great demon god sat on the throne. Ha! The heir House sat there, laughing loudly. His face was thin and covered in scales, and he had a pair of huge curved horns. His blood-red eyes gave off a savage aura. Not bad at dancing. Come on my side. The beautiful succubi and illusion demons dancing below all smiled coquettishly and immediately climbed up the stairs to the heir House side, surrounding him and serving him. Although these succubi and illusion demons were low-level subordinates, they were all demonic god existences. Master, is it comfortable? Some illusion demons were massaging him. Master, have a taste of this wine. Some succubi directly kissed the heir How, swallowing the wine in their mouths. The heir How was also enjoying himself. Most experts of the Dark Abyss were like this. They were vicious and merciless when killing, but they would also enjoy themselves when they could. Sometimes they would act like madmen. The heir How was in an extremely good mood. That was because he had already broken through to become a stage 3 world deity. It took too much effort to advance from the 2nd heavenly layer to the 3rd heavenly layer. Now, under His Majesty's command, I can be considered to be in the forefront. The heir How thought to himself, my territory has expanded greatly, and quite a few great demonic gods have submitted to me. I haven't been cultivating for that long. Even among the stage 3 great demon god, I am still considered very young. Perhaps I will be able to fight until I reach the stage 4 world deity level. At that time, I will be able to find an abyss world and become its monarch. The heir How was filled with anticipation. He was indeed considered young. Previously, he did not dare to dream of becoming a stage 4 universe god. But now that he had become a stage 3 universe god, he still dared to think about it. However, I've heard that Dongbua Shui from the god world is rising very quickly. When the heir How thought of this, he could not help but feel a heavy pressure weighing down on him. He is the fastest person to become a stage 3 world deity in the deity world and abyss. Moreover, he has an absolute art at his disposal, and his strength is already comparable to a stage 4 world deity. Dongbua Shui fame was simply too great. His name had spread throughout the entire Dark Abyss. The heir How had been given a fright when he first heard of this name. Now that he thought about it, he realized that this person really was from the material plane, the Xia people's world. This was the Dongbua Shui that he knew of. The heir How was immediately frightened to the point where his heart trembled. He was afraid that Dongbua Shui would take revenge. Under this formless fear, he had actually managed to break through and become a stage 3 world deity. Even the Abyss Sovereign had heavily rewarded him. Amen. Suddenly, a gigantic palm appeared within the hall. This palm was surrounded by a black aura, and it directly slapped at the Erhao. The Erhao's expression changed greatly. This gigantic palm, filled with black aura, caused him to feel fear. He hurriedly shouted, "Spare me." At the same time, he hurriedly dodged the surging aura around his body, causing the surrounding succubus and illusion demons to directly shatter. This was the might of a stage 3 world deity. Even the slightest ripple could kill an ordinary demonic god. But the Erhao had only managed to flee 10 meters before he was struck by that gigantic palm. Pung! The Erhao did not have the slightest ability to resist the overwhelming power. His body instantly exploded, his true deity heart destroyed, and even the armor he wore was twisted into tatters. One had to know that Dongbua Shui Ying's strength could cause even powerful existences to pale. The reason he could possess the power of a powerful existence was because of his strength and speed. Within a stone house just 5,000 kilometers away from this hall, the Erhao's true body was currently cultivating. He had also become a stage 3 world deity not too long ago. Not good. The Erhao's clone was instantly destroyed. The Erhao's true body immediately tried to flee. "You still want to flee?" A calm voice suddenly rang out, causing the Erhao's heart to instantly turn cold. He looked in horror at the crimson-robed man who had appeared in front of the stone house. This man was wearing a mask and had 2 spiral horns on his head. The aura he emitted was even more terrifying. The destruction of his clone earlier made him realize just how great the gap between them was. Without hesitation, the Erhao knelt down and begged, "Spare me. Spare me. Your honor. Please spare my life. I am willing to serve your honor." At the same time, he immediately transmitted a message to his master. Your Majesty, there's a powerful existence who wants to kill me and has already destroyed one of my clones. Your Majesty, save me, save me." Amen? The golden-armored figure who was sitting cross-legged beside a river of lava suddenly opened his eyes, which were filled with anger. "This layer of the Abyss world is my territory. Who dares to come to my territory and kill my subordinates without even informing me?" As the Abyss Sovereign, he naturally had the face of a sovereign. Moreover, after becoming a stage 3 world deity, the Erhao could be considered an extremely important subordinate to him. He only had a few dozen stage 3 world deities under him. I want to see just who dares to be so arrogant. The golden-armored man's eyes were filled with anger, but it disappeared in an instant. Dongbua Shuang looked at the kneeling Erhao in front of him with complicated emotions. After all, this was an existence who had founded the demonic faction in the Xia people's world. His shadow had once shrouded the Xia people's world for tens of millions of years, and now his true body was kneeling in front of him. Dongbua Shuang did not find it strange that the Erhao was kneeling and begging for mercy. There were many battles and killings in the Dark Abyss, and it was very common for the weaker side to submit to the stronger side. "Spare my life, and I can still serve the great demon god," the Erhao said. Dongbua Shuang looked at the scaled face of the great demon god and frowned. "Huh." A golden-armored figure appeared beside him. "Your Majesty," the Erhao hurriedly shouted. A layer of the Abyss world was only a few trillion kilometers in size, and to a stage 4 world deity, it was something that could be reached in an instant. Amen. Dongbua Shuang frowned, and his gaze swept across the golden-armored figure. The golden-armored man looked at Dongbua Shuang and was about to say a few words in anger, but when he saw the crimson robe on Dongbua Shuang's body, his expression changed. This robe, Bloodshed Tavern Master? Those who could become the Tavern Master of the Bloodshed Tavern were all personally bestowed with this robe by the Bloodshed God himself. Every single one of them had the combat power of a powerful existence at the very least. How could a stage 4 world deity like him provoke a powerful existence with the combat power of a powerful existence? What's more, the Bloodshed Tavern Masters were all assassins, and assassins usually carried out sneak attacks. How could they possibly notify anyone? Ah, this Tavern Master, you're currently on a mission. The golden-armored man hurriedly squeezed out a smile. I won't disturb you any longer. I won't disturb you any longer. After saying that, he immediately turned around and disappeared with a whoosh. Your Majesty, Your Majesty. The Airhow's eyes widened, and he hurriedly shouted with all his might. Chapter 579. When the Airhow saw the Abyss Monarch leaving in such a sorry state, and especially when he heard the words Tavern Master, you are carrying out a mission. Even though the Airhow's knowledge was relatively weaker, he was still certain that only a powerful existence would be able to force the Abyss Monarch to flee in such a sorry state. Coupled with the words Tavern Master and mission, it was only natural for him to make a guess. Bloodshed Tavern Master level assassin. How is this possible? A dojo master assassin is actually here to deal with me? Airhow's heart was filled with fear. A dojo master was only second to the chief dojo master. Head dojo master, that was the #1 assassin in the deity realm and abyss, the Bloodblade. But to be able to force his majesty to flee, one must indeed be at the level of a dojo master. Who was the one who issued the mission to deal with me? They even sent the Bloodshed Tavern Master to deal with me? Airhow felt despair and unwillingness. The difference in strength was too great. It was only natural for him to feel despair. Donghua Shuang looked at him and asked the Airhow, Dojo Master, Dojo Master. Airhow knelt on the ground respectfully. Tens of thousands of years ago, you should have captured the soul of a transcendent called Qi Qiubai, right? Donghua Shuang continued, and his wife's soul. Let me ask you, where are their souls? The reason why he asked, it was Donghua Shuang's world domain that covered the entire area, but he couldn't find Chongfeng's soul, which was why he kept the Airhow alive and didn't eliminate him immediately. The Airhow was stunned. Qi Qiubai, you wouldn't have forgotten, right? Donghua Shuang said coldly. The Airhow glanced at the Bloodshed Tavern Master standing in front of him. The Tavern Master stood there coldly, wearing a dark red robe and a mask. The Tavern Master had a pair of spiral horns on his head, and he exuded a sinister aura of darkness and destruction. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible to disguise one's life aura. The Airhow didn't know that the robes of the Bloodshed Tavern Masters had such a disguising effect. He made up his mind and asked, Is the Dojo Master invited by Donghua Shuang? Donghua Shuang frowned. I'm the one asking you. The Airhow calmed down. The person in front of him was exuding a dark, destructive aura, so he should be some great expert of the dark abyss. From his point of view, although Donghua Shuang was extremely talented, it was said that when he was at the third heaven, his battle prowess was only comparable to that of the fourth heaven. He did not think that Donghua Shuang could become the Bloodshed Dojo Master, nor did he think that Donghua Shuang could disguise his life aura. However, he believed that Donghua Shuang had great potential. Furthermore, he was the direct disciple of the Bloodblade Dojo. There was hope for him to invite a Bloodblade Dojo Master to help him. Dojo Master, if you want to kill me, it will be as easy as pinching a bug to death. The Airhow chuckled. As far as I know, Donghua Shuang is also a person who values friendship and loyalty. No matter how I think about it, among all the enemies I've offended, only he would be able to invite an existence like you, Dojo Head. If I tell the Dojo Master directly, I'm afraid he'll kill me with a flip of his hand. And Donghua Shuang let out a low snort, his voice filled with killing intent. Dojo Head, don't scare me. The Airhow actually stood up. If you want to kill me, go ahead. If you want to know Qi Qiubai's whereabouts, Dojo Head will have to swear an oath with the will of the Abyss as a witness. The will of the Abyss was a terrifying threat to all life forms in the Dark Abyss. Even experts from the deity realm and the material world would not dare to swear an oath with the will of the Abyss as a witness if they were in the Dark Abyss. Because if they broke the oath, the will of the abyss would be the most terrifying existence in the dark abyss. If I don't swear an oath, you won't get anything even if you kill me. The corners of that ear, Hao's mouth curled upwards. Pong! Dongbui Shui Ying abruptly slapped out with his right hand. A terrifying force swept towards that air Hao's great demon god body like a tsunami. However, the luminous sun force also seeped into Daer Hao's body, protecting his true deity heart. In an instant, it was forcefully sealed. The body was destroyed. In his right hand, Dongbui Shui Ying grabbed a tiny true deity heart Daer Hao. Looking down at the tiny Daer Hao in his palm, Dongbui Shui Ying's eyes turned cold. Idiot! You dare to provoke me? I heard that Qi Qiu Bai is only a transcendent, not even a deity. To me, resurrecting him from the river of time isn't a difficult task. You actually dare to use this to threaten me, forcing me to swear an oath? Do you know the price of angering me? The air Hao's heart trembled in fear, but he still couldn't help but say, resurrecting from the river of time? But you don't know Qi Qiu Bai. You can't. Even if I can't, there are others who can. At most, I'll just have His Highness Dong, Bo send a world deity, clone over. Dongbui Shui Ying said. At most, it will be a little troublesome. Tell me, where is Qi Qiu Bai's soul? I won't say it. You should know that there are many things more terrifying than death. That air Hao naturally knew. In the dark abyss, there were too many ways to torture a soul. I'll give you a breath's worth of time. After a breath's worth of time, your answer will be useless, Dongbui Shui Ying said indifferently. The air Hao's heart was filled with despair, unwillingness, and fear. But as a demon who had been born in the dark abyss since young, he understood that he was doomed this time. I'll speak. The air Hao lowered his head. I hope that dojo master will grant me death. Speak, Dongbui Shui Ying said coldly. The air Hao lowered his head and said, Qi Qiu Bai's will is extremely powerful, and he has been holding on for a long time. 30,000 years ago, the Howling Devil cult leader went around searching for souls with strong wills. The stronger the will, the better. I also sent a batch of souls in exchange for some benefits, and Qi Qiu Bai's soul was among them. As for what happened after that, I don't know. Howling Devil cult leader? Dongbui Shui Ying asked. Then what about the soul of Qi Qiu Bai's wife? His wife's was relatively ordinary, and I tortured her to death, the air Hao said calmly. I've said everything that needs to be said. I hope that dojo master will keep his promise. Of course, Dongbui Shui Ying said. Actually, you've guessed wrongly about my deity. Dongbui Shui Ying's voice transmitted into the air Hao's true deity heart. The air Hao was stunned. Guessed wrongly? Not invited by Dongbui Shui Ying? Then who was it? No matter how he thought about it, only Dongbui Shui Ying would be able to invite such a powerful existence. Furthermore, he was here to search for the souls of Qi Qiu Bai and his wife. But he was still wrong? Could it be the air Hao thought of a possibility? Pong! Dongbui Shui Ying clenched his right hand and crushed the air Hao's true deity heart. Regardless of whether the air Hao had thought of this or not, Dongbui Shui Ying did not care. After all, the air Hao's true deity heart was sealed, and he could not send any messages out. However, Dongbui Shui Ying still gave him a final warning. He was angry for Big Brother Eternal Wind and the others. He was angry for the generations of transcendents and mortals of the Xia people who had died because of the demonic faction. Because the demonic faction worshipped the great demon god of the dark abyss, they were unscrupulous in their actions. Throughout the history of the Xia people, countless transcendents and even gods desired to destroy the demonic faction. It was only after he became the lord of the material world that Dongbui Shui Ying wiped out all the remnants of the demonic faction in the Xia people. The Howling Devil cult leader, Dongbui Shui Ying raised his head and looked into the distance. Then he took a step forward. The Hao had truly lost his life. At the same time, Dongbui Shui Ying had first issued a mission to kill the air Hao through the internal system of the Bloodshed Tavern. But soon after, he had accepted the mission himself. He had issued it himself, and he had accepted it himself. This could also be considered as bringing this matter to a clean conclusion. As for whether or not his identity would be exposed, there was no need to worry about that. The operating rules of the Bloodshed Tavern never investigated the identity of the customers who issued the mission, and never investigated the identity of the assassins who accepted the mission. Many of the assassins in the Bloodshed Tavern kept their identities a secret. They only had a simple code name. Of course, if they were to expose themselves, they could not blame anyone else. In fact, an assassin could even purposely use 8 or 10 code names just to hide their identity. This was the first time Dongbua Shui Ying had become an assassin. Thus, he gave himself a code name, Flying Dagger. Chapter 580. In a dark hall, the howling devil cult leader, who was draped in a black robe, was sitting comfortably on a throne made of bones. There were countless palm-sized human and animal skeletons on the throne, all of them emitting a luster. The howling devil cult leader sat there, his fair fingers lightly tapping on the throne's armrest, emitting dong, dong, dong sounds that reverberated throughout the silent hall. Come again. The howling devil cult leader finally gathered his emotions. Sitting properly on the throne, he began to execute the secret technique. Immediately, a pained expression appeared on his face, which was covered in fine scales. His face contorted, and at the same time, phantoms began to emerge from his black robe. These phantoms were men, women, demons, and strange beasts. All of these phantoms let out soundless screams, and the shockwaves of their screams reverberated throughout the hall, causing the space within the hall to distort. His black robes began to bulge, swirl, and even the shape of a head began to appear. The howling devil cult leader howled. Pain, this secret technique, was truly painful to cultivate. You want to refine us? You can't do it. I'll use my life to curse you. Die. A total of 9 illusory figures appeared around the howling devil cult leader, all of them howling malevolently. One of them was the white-haired man, Qiu Bai. Qiu Bai was still clear-headed, but his heart was filled with rage and killing intent. Amidst the struggle of millions upon millions of souls and wills, he had survived until now, becoming one of the 9 strongest wills. He, with just you lot? The howling devil cult leader let out an ear-piercing laugh. You weaklings want to threaten this cult leader? It won't be long before I refine all of you into my body. My blood demon body will truly be complete, and at that time, The howling devil cult leader could not help but let out a pained cry. The blood demon scripture is truly worthy of being a legendary absolute art. Cultivating it is truly painful. The howling devil cult leader's eyes were filled with madness. To be able to reach stage 4 world deity in a place like the Dark Abyss, which of them was not a madman? Their wills were all extraordinary. You will die. You will definitely die. Qiu Bai and the other 8 wills were filled with hatred towards the howling devil cult leader. The pain and suffering they had gone through for the past 30,000 years was something they did not want to recall. Although the howling devil cult leader was in great pain, his heart was filled with excitement. This was because he cultivated the blood demon scripture. Of course, he only obtained the first volume. In the Dark Abyss, only the second half of the blood demon scripture had appeared, and it had been obtained by the heavenly emperor of great destruction. However, the heavenly emperor of great destruction was an extremely talented individual. He actually created an absolute art based on the second half of the blood demon scripture. He even became a venerable because of this, and became a notorious existence in the entire Dark Abyss. Because of this, the heavenly emperor of great destruction was known as the existence closest to a ruler in the entire Dark Abyss. Because just the second half alone allowed the heavenly emperor of great destruction to create his own ultimate art and achieve so much. Although it was mainly due to the heavenly emperor of great destruction's innate talent, it also made the blood demon scripture extremely famous. In order to find the hope of transcending, I've ventured into many dangerous places to explore. Who would have thought that I would actually find the legendary first half of the Blood Demon scripture? Although it's just the first half, it's just enough for those below the true God level to cultivate. The Howling Devil cult leader was very happy. More importantly, the first half can be used to cultivate, unlike the Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction. This is the true Blood Demon body, but cultivating it is really difficult. The Howling Devil cult leader thought to himself, just cultivating the Blood Demon body was extremely difficult. The Howling Devil cult leader had cultivated for 30,000 years and had reached the final step. Out of billions of ghosts, only 9 were left with the strongest will. As long as he succeeded, he would truly be able to cultivate it. The Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction created his own ultimate art. It only has the tyrannical evil of the Blood Demon body, but it lacks the undying methods of the Blood Demon body. The Howling Devil cult leader thought to himself, although his innate talent is extremely high, the ultimate art he created is still lacking compared to the ancient Blood Demon scripture. If I can become a powerful being, just the first half of the Blood Demon scripture will be enough for me to move unhindered among true gods. When the time comes, I'll think of a way to obtain the second half of the inheritance from the Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction and combine them into one. The Howling Devil cult leader was looking forward to it. He did not dare to look for the Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction now. Moreover, the first half was enough. The second half was the cultivation content after becoming a true god. The Howling Devil cult leader stopped. Chi Bai and the other 8 phantoms were quickly absorbed into his body. His exposed face and the scaly skin on his hands were already tattered, revealing his bones. Clearly, this cultivation was not an ordinary pain. Almost there. If everything goes smoothly, I should be able to succeed in another 30,000 years. The Howling Devil cult leader thought to himself. He knew that this last step was also the most difficult. According to the Blood Demon scripture, he had to be extremely careful. If he was too hasty, his true deity heart might be swallowed up by the 9 great wills. Although this would only result in the death of one of his clones, the countless ghosts and materials he had collected would be wasted, and he would have to start all over again. Moreover, under normal circumstances, the first time was the easiest to succeed. The chances of succeeding a second time were very low. In the records of the Blood Demon scripture, no one had ever succeeded after the third time. The black ship sailed through the dark abyss, moving deeper and deeper into the world. Dongboi Shui Ying stood at the bow of the ship, using the ring on his finger to communicate through the internal system of the Bloodshed Tavern. I want information on the Howling Devil cult leader, especially the location of his true body and clone. Immediately, a large amount of information was transmitted over. He is a stage 4 world deity, the sovereign of the 37th level of the Dark Abyss. The surrounding area is isolated from probing, and there is temporarily no information on the location of his true body or clone. The Bloodshed Tavern replied. Is it possible to investigate? Dongboi Shui Ying transmitted. The Bloodshed Tavern also sold information. We need to invite a cultivator proficient in the Tao of Karma to investigate. The price is 10 million contribution points or 100 million deity crystals. The Bloodshed Tavern transmitted. All right, as the Bloodshed Tavern master, Dongboi Shui Ying received a salary every 100 million years. Naturally, it was more worth it to use contribution points. Just like how the Nanyang Palace head had tried to track down Monarch Mo Shui. Only someone who knew the Howling Devil cult leader and was proficient in the Tao of Karma would be able to track him down. After more than half an hour, only then did the Bloodshed Tavern send a message. The Howling Devil cult leader has 2 bodies. One is in his lair, this skeleton sea, while the other is exploring the ruins of the Dark Abyss, the 3 chieftains' sacred mountain. Chapter 581. What? Dongboi Shui Ying furrowed his brows. The other one is at the 3 chieftains' sacred mountain? The 3 chieftains' sacred mountain was located in the 40th level of the abyss. In terms of danger, It was naturally not as dangerous as Lakeheart Island. However, since it was able to survive from the Great Apocalypse, it could not be underestimated. Entering the ruins to find his avatar is too difficult. I'm not proficient in the Tao of Karma, so there's no way I can track him in the ruins. Dongbua Shuang shook his head. Looks like I can only go to his lair and ask him. South, standing at the bow of the stellar field flying ship. The ship once again passed through the space-time tunnel and headed deeper into the abyss. Although Dongbua Shuang had never seen the Howling Devil Cult leader before, he already felt a faint hostility towards him. This was because the Howling Devil Cult leader was collecting countless souls. Under normal circumstances, he would use them to cultivate some kind of evil secret technique. If that was the case, then Big Brother Chichio Bai's fate would be very tragic. I hope Big Brother Eternal Wind is still alive. I hope my guess is wrong, Dongbua Shuang thought to himself. Very soon, they arrived at the 37th level of the abyss. This was a vast and boundless world. The cold wind howled like knives, and under such a strong gale, weaker demons would be torn to shreds. This was the core region of the abyss, and also the center of power. There were countless skeletons here, and amidst the sea of skeletons, there was a majestic palace that emitted a light that faintly illuminated the entire sea of skeletons. I heard that this Howling Devil Cult leader is crazy. He built his own cult, and even built his palace on top of the sea of skeletons. Dongbua Shuang kept the stellar field flying ship and stood above the sea of skeletons, looking at the palace not far away. There are many strange people in the deity world, but I've never heard of anyone who built their palace on top of countless skeletons. Boom! Dongbua Shuang's body released a dark aura of destruction. His formless will surged outwards like a shockwave that swept in all directions. The sea of skeletons, which was originally filled with the cries of countless vengeful spirits, suddenly became silent. Even the strong gale that was stirred up was completely silent. Within a radius of 10 million kilometers, it was completely silent. There was not the slightest wind or wave. At the center of this area was Dongbua Shuang, who was dressed in a dark red robe. Sect leader, sect master. The Fiend Celestials on patrol immediately reported in horror when they saw him from afar. The Howling Devil Cult leader was currently seated on a throne in a majestic and sinister hall made of skeletons. He was being served by a large group of succubi, but he suddenly frowned. He raised his head and looked through the doors of the hall to see a figure dressed in dark red robes a mere 10 million li away. The Howling Devil Cult leader immediately recognized the figure, especially the robes, and his expression changed slightly. In the deity world and abyss, the robes were personally refined by His Majesty Bloodblade. Only the Bloodblade Tavern Masters wore them. They were very special and easy to recognize. Of course, if one deliberately hid the uniqueness of the robe and others could not recognize it, then there was nothing they could do. However, it was clear that most of the time, the Bloodshed Tavern Masters couldn't be bothered to hide the uniqueness of their robes. The Bloodshed Tavern Master, the Howling Devil Cult leader bellowed, "All of you scram." As soon as he finished speaking, the Howling Devil Cult leader had already turned into a strand of black fog, piercing through the obstruction of the void to arrive 5 million kilometers away in front of Shuang. That black fog condensed back into the Howling Devil Cult leader, who politely bowed slightly. "Greetings, Bloodshed Tavern Master. I wonder what matter brings you to my Howling Devil Abyss world. If there is anything you need, just tell me. I will definitely do my best." "Howling Devil Cult leader, I have indeed come for a matter," Dongbua Shuang said. "You collected countless souls 30,000 years ago, and one of them was obtained from the air How. I need to take that soul away." The Howling Devil Cult leader was shocked. Soul? He had collected countless souls to cultivate the first half of the Blood Demon scripture, and he had never dared to reveal it. Why would someone with the combat strength of a powerful existence ask about it? Could it be that someone suspected that he had obtained the Blood Demon scripture? The Howling Devil Cult leader could not be blamed for thinking too much. The temptation of the first half of the Blood Demon scripture was too great. After all, it was an absolute art, and just the second half alone was enough to create the Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction. The Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction was an existence second only to the ruler of the Abyss. If he was exposed, the Howling Devil cult leader would definitely not be able to keep this treasure. Of course, he had already obtained the inheritance, but this treasure would naturally be kept on him. When he was strong enough, he could use it to trade, to let someone else inherit it. He would have to pay a huge price. Bloodshed Tavern Master, I collected countless souls back then. How would I know which one I obtained from the Airhow? The Howling Devil cult leader shook his head. This soul is called Qiu Bai. Donghua Shuiying said as he looked at the Howling Devil cult leader. The Howling Devil cult leader was shocked. Qiu Bai? Of course he knew. This was one of the inconspicuous souls he had collected, and it was not even a deity. But in the battle of pure wills, one of the 9 great wills that were born was this Qiu Bai. Because he had been trying to refine the 9 great wills recently, he had also refined a portion of the 9 great wills' memory fragments. Thus, he had a basic understanding of Qiu Bai. Although he was shocked, he did not reveal any flaws on his face. These souls, did you use them to cultivate secret techniques? Donghua Shuiying could not find any flaws, so he went straight to the point. Haha, in the Dark Abyss, using souls to cultivate secret techniques is a common thing. The Howling Devil cult leader laughed. Tavern Master, are you going to interfere with this as well? Donghua Shuiying's eyes flashed with killing intent. The Howling Devil cult leader was shocked. What a terrifying will. Either you hand over this soul called Qiu Bai, and if you can't identify it, then take out all the remaining souls you have collected and let me identify and filter them. Or, I can only search them myself. Donghua Shuiying said coldly. I advise you to hand them over obediently. Search them himself? How could he let the Bloodshed Tavern Master search them? The main body he had left behind in his lair had the first half of the Blood Demon scripture. The moment he searched, he would be discovered. I really don't know what Qiu Bai's soul is. The Howling Devil cult leader hurriedly said. Donghua Shuiying frowned. Oh, I once gave a batch of souls to a powerful being. The Howling Devil cult leader hurriedly said, I remember that the Airhow gave me some souls. Yes, I remember correctly. An expert's memory was extremely clear. Swear an oath by the will of the Abyss that you did not lie. Donghua Shuiying said, Then I will let you go and find that powerful being. The Howling Devil cult leader was anxious. How could he give any powerful being? He had already used these souls for himself, and Qiu Bai was now one of the 9 great wills. How could he dare to swear an oath to the Abyss? Tavern Master, don't go overboard. The Howling Devil cult leader was a little angry, but he was also anxious in his heart. He was very clear that the experts of the Dark Abyss did not care about reason. But because he had cultivated the first half of the Blood Demon scripture, even if he had not truly grasped the basics, the Howling Devil cult leader's mentality had changed. In his opinion, as long as he was given enough time, how could ordinary powerful existences be his match? If you don't want to make an oath, then you must be lying. Then, I'll search you myself. As Donghua Shuiying stood there, the void around him started to distort as figures appeared one after another. There was a total of 9 doppelgangers, each of them wearing a black armor. This black armor was the Extreme Annihilation mystic body, and they exuded a destructive and evil aura at the same time. The world doppelganger was ever-changing. Anything could be transformed, even weapons could be transformed. Luminous Sun Force and Extreme Annihilation mysterious body could be transformed. Naturally, it was even easier for him to transform the destructive aura of darkness. The 9 clones completely surrounded the Howling Devil cult leader. Chapter 582. Stop, 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 don't attack. The Howling Devil cult leader shouted. What else do you have to say? Donghua Shui Ying's true body and the 9 clones surrounding the Howling Devil Cult leader were all ready to attack at any time. The Howling Devil Cult leader said, "If I'm not wrong, Tavern Master, you should have been invited here by His Highness Donghua Shui Ying, right? How did you know?" Donghua Shui Ying asked with a frown. Haha. The Howling Devil Cult leader did not answer this question. Because he had refined a portion of the memories of the 9 great consciousnesses, he knew some simple information from Qi Qiu Bai's memories. He knew that there was an extremely famous character in Qi Qiu Bai's hometown, the Xia people's world, Donghua Shui Ying. Donghua Shui Ying's fame was too great and had spread throughout the deity world and the abyss. His information was not a secret. He was born in the material world, the Xia people's world. After a brief comparison, the Howling Devil Cult leader was able to deduce that Xiu Qi Bai was a transcendent from the material world, no matter how he thought about it. Only someone like Shui Ying could possibly ask someone to save him. It seems that you know quite a bit about Qi Qiu Bai. Donghua Shui Ying's voice was cold. Tavern Master, His Highness Donghua Shui Ying is ultimately from the deity world. Why must Tavern Master make things difficult for me for the sake of someone from the deity world? The Howling Devil Cult leader said. Truthfully, Tavern Master has probably guessed it. This Qi Qiu Bai's soul has long been used up by my secret technique. I have no way of taking it out. Even if you kill me, there's nothing I can do. Tavern Master, please show mercy. I, the Howling Devil Cult leader, will definitely do my best to compensate Tavern Master. He's already dead? Donghua Shui Ying was furious. Yes. The Howling Devil Cult leader nodded. Swear an oath and confirm that his soul has already dissipated. When the time comes, I will think of a way to revive him from the river of time. Donghua Shui Ying said. If he couldn't do it himself, he could ask for help. The stronger the person being revived was, the greater the price they had to pay. Eternal Wind was just a transcendent, and it was easy to revive him. With Donghua Shui Ying's influence, it was easy for him to do so. The Howling Devil Cult leader hesitated. Swear an oath? Strictly speaking, Qi Qiu Bai was not truly dead. You don't want to swear an oath? Are you lying? Donghua Shui Ying no longer hesitated. One moment, this Howling Devil Cult leader said that he had given it to another powerful existence, and the next moment he said that he was dead. Yet, he refused to swear an oath. Looks like I can only take action. Boom, boom, boom. The 9 world avatars waved their poles at the same time. For the sake of concealing his identity, Shui Ying did not use his spear. Instead, he used his pole. In fact, there were many similarities between the rod and the spear. Not good. The Howling Devil Cult leader's expression changed. Damn it. This bloodshed Tavern Master is clearly from the dark abyss. But for the sake of His Highness Donghua, he showed no mercy to me. The 9 rods were like 9 heavenly pillars that supported the world. In an instant, the world around them distorted and shattered, as if the universe was about to be destroyed. Everything began to shatter and turn into particles. Each of the world bodies had the luminous sun force and the extreme annihilation mysterious body, so their strength was not inferior to the main body. Each of them was ridiculously strong, and just their strength alone had the effect of great destruction. Facing this overwhelming attack, the Howling Devil Cult leader was shocked and furious. This power was too ferocious. At this moment, he could not care less about hiding his strength and completely erupted. Pong! Under the cover of the 9 rods, the Howling Devil Cult leader even felt a trace of despair, but he still gave it his all. His body began to distort and turn into a blurry blood shadow. Although his body transformation had not truly succeeded, it was already at the final step, and his body was already very different from an ordinary person. On the blood shadow, there were also 9 powerful, vengeful spirits howling. Some were male, some were female, some were human, some were beast, some were young, some were old, and all 9 of them were filled with monstrous hatred. Donghua Shui Ying was greatly shocked. Among the 9 figures filled with monstrous hatred, there was a white-haired man. It was the big brother that he was incomparably familiar with, the Eternal Wind Knight, Xiu Qi Bai, who had guided him into the transcendent world. However, at this moment, he was no longer as unruly as before, nor was he as sad as before. Instead, he was like a crazed demon, filled with monstrous hatred as he struggled, pouncing at the blood shadow time and time again. Just what kind of experience had he gone through to make him so resentful and crazy? In an instant, Dongbua Shui Ying's killing intent towards the howling devil cult leader soared. Moreover, he immediately understood that Xiu Qi Bai and the other 8 were in a strange symbiotic state with the howling devil cult leader. His big brother Eternal Wind could no longer escape and return to normal. There was only one way to save him: kill the howling devil cult leader and revive him from the river of time. Otherwise, if he did not kill the howling devil cult leader, Xiu Qi Bai would not be able to revive in such a strange state. Pung, pung, pung. Although there were many thoughts in his mind, the might of the 9 rods did not decrease in the slightest. In fact, their killing intent was even stronger. Ooh! The blood-red silhouette forced his way out from the area of complete destruction with great difficulty. He was even struck by one of the staffs. The terrifying power caused his body to twist and tremble. Fortunately, his body had already begun to transform. Additionally, his cultivation level was high enough to negate most of the power, allowing him to stay alive. Emperor Chengming, save me, save me. As long as you save my life, I will agree to anything you ask of me. The howling devil cult leader immediately transmitted a message to a powerful existence of the dark abyss who was only 3 levels away. Die for me. This time, Dongbua Shui Ying's true body and the 9 world clones attacked at the same time. 10 huge rods that could traverse the heavens and earth came attacking at the same time. Their might was just as terrifying as before, and their speed was also extremely fast. He actually did not suppress the surrounding space-time. The howling devil cult leader thought to himself in despair. Although his realm was not as strong as Monarch Mo Shui and some other existences, he had long since grasped the space-time deity heart. He was astonished to find that the surrounding space-time was not suppressed. This was a mistake that ordinary powerful existences should not have made. His blood shadow immediately moved. Hua! He immediately tore through space-time and began to flee. Dongbua Shuang felt a headache coming on. His realm had a huge flaw, and although he was strong in direct combat, it was difficult to suppress techniques like the space-time deity heart and the boundless deity heart. The boundless deity heart and the substance deity heart were both very difficult to grasp. Even stage 4 world deities would only be able to gradually comprehend them, and were still far from being able to grasp them. However, the space-time deity heart was very common. This howling devil cult leader clearly grasped the space-time deity heart as well. What? The expression of the howling devil cult leader, who was shuttling through the space-time tunnel, suddenly changed. He turned his head to look. You won't be able to escape. Dongbua Shuang was currently on his black starfield flying ship, which was much faster than him. Dongbua Shuang, who was standing at the bow of the ship, opened his mouth, and a surge of faint violet flames rushed out like a fire dragon. This flame was a domain-type technique that covered an entire area. The howling devil cult leader had no way of dodging and was instantly enveloped. The howling devil cult leader howled in pain. It was truly painful. The 7th level of the 10 apocalyptic fire. Just this flame alone had the might of a powerful existence, and it caused the howling devil cult leader's blood shadow to sizzle. Not good. This flame is too terrifying. If this drags on for too long, my body will be burnt to ashes. It was not that the blood demon scripture was not powerful, but that the 10 apocalyptic fire was close to an absolute art, and the howling devil cult leader's body had yet to truly transform. Boom, boom, boom. At the same time the 10 apocalyptic fire was released, the 9 world bodies appeared, all of them brandishing their long rods as they surrounded the howling devil cult leader. The howling devil cult leader was being burned by the flames while facing the terrifying attacks of the long rods. His heart was filled with despair, and he could only try his best to escape. He originally thought that he was going to die, But under his desperate struggle, he actually managed to resist 2 waves of attacks. Something's not right. The Howling Devil cult leader immediately grew suspicious. This rod technique is ferocious, but in terms of the laws of profound mysteries, it seems to be even weaker than me. In fact, many of the rod techniques were dodged by me, and none of them were able to hit me. Even if they hit me, I focused on dispersing the force, and the majority of the impact was actually dissipated. How did I manage to survive until now? Also, it actually didn't seal space-time? Could it be that even a powerful existence doesn't understand the space-time deity heart? His strength is so great, but his rod techniques seem to be barely comparable to a newly advanced stage 4-world deity. Realms can't be faked, so his realm should be very ordinary. He might even be a newly advanced stage 4-world deity, or a very powerful stage 3-world deity. Is he only relying on some special method to have such combat power? The Howling Devil cult leader quickly made many deductions. He suddenly shouted, "You're not a powerful existence from the dark abyss. Are you Dongbua Shuang?" He could not think of anyone other than Dongbua Shuang who could have such a powerful combat power despite having such a low realm. He would even stand up for Qi Qiubai. That you're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.